What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 3cc Chapter 51 Zhang attacks Su Chen with all his strength, Will of Destruction. It was midnight when Su Chen was secretly called to the marine training ground by Garp. So even now Su Chen and Akainu have been fighting for several hours. Today's time is only morning. Akainu is very true to its word. He turned around and went directly to Fleet Admiral's office. Recommended Su Chen as Marine General. Warring States Fleet Admiral has no intention of dragging its feet. It was announced immediately. He will personally review Su Chen, and the 3 Marine Majors will need to accompany him for the review. Just returned to his dormitory. Su Chen, who had finished cleaning up the bloodstains all over his body, was about to take a good rest. I received a notification directly from Warring States Fleet Admiral. Su Chen, who received the notification, was asked to immediately go to the Marine Headquarters Preparation Square. I saw that this notice was personally issued by the Warring States Fleet Admiral. Su Chen probably had a guess in his mind. This should be Akainu already recommending himself to Sengoku Fleet Admiral. So Sengoku Fleet Admiral is preparing to conduct some level of scrutiny on itself, right? After all, his Tian Xing Jian had already performed well in the previous battle with Akainu Garp. But the sage art that Fleet Admiral is most concerned about has not shown much yet. After he fully demonstrates his strength, he should be in the position of Marine General. It's a sure bet. Soon he will be able to go to Mary Joa, the residence of the Celestial Dragon, for his next check-in. I thought of this. Su Chen no longer hesitated. Go directly to the War Preparation Square that Fleet Admiral mentioned in the Warring States period. The Marine Headquarters is really quite big. Su Chen followed the Warring States Fleet Admiral's request and came to the Preparation Square. Half an hour has passed. When Su Chen arrived at this place, the more he looked at the environment, the more familiar it became. Take a closer look, isn't this the Marine Plaza where Ace's execution platform was? Good guy. This brings me to the place where the war starts at the top. Su Chen looked not far away, at the location of Ace's execution platform. There were several figures standing. Every face is familiar. Surprisingly, they are the 3 Marine Generals, as well as the Sengoku Fleet Admiral and the Marine Hero Garp. The Marine Senior Management came all at once. Good guy. Could it be that it's all for yourself? My face is really quite big? Su Chen muttered in his heart, while moving forward to greet everyone in front of him. Warring States saw Su Chen after seeing him. There was no hint of timidity. On the contrary, he took the initiative to greet himself very naturally. Warring States couldn't help but have a much higher evaluation of Su Chen's heart. Even someone much older than Su Chen saw him for the first time at this moment. It's probably impossible to do better than Su Chen. The Warring States period didn't put on airs either. After all, today is here to test Su Chen's fruit ability. The entire Marine Preparation Square, except for the necessary security personnel, has been cleared. Warring States said directly to Su Chen, "Boy Su Chen, you came very quickly. You didn't keep us waiting long. General Akainu just recommended you to me, saying that your fruit ability and personal strength are beyond the ordinary Marine Lieutenant General, and you are fully capable of assuming the position of Marine General. I think you probably guessed it before you came here. The purpose of calling you here this time is to examine whether you have the qualifications to become a Marine General. Earlier today, you already proved your strength by defeating Kizaru. So this time the inspection about General Marine is mainly focused on your fruit ability." Warring States period Fleet Admiral said this, and the breath all over his body began to surge. His entire figure began to expand, and in the blink of an eye he transformed into a golden Buddha tens of meters high. A coercion no less than that of Whitebeard burst out from Warring States at this moment. The first thing we need to test is whether your fruit's sealing ability has an upper limit on the damage it can withstand. Boy, use your fruit ability to resist my attack. I will do my best. If you can't bear it, don't be afraid of embarrassment and ask for help immediately. We Marines don't want to lose a talented person like you. Zhang Guo is preparing for a test. Will Su Chen's break all laws be unable to be sealed due to the high damage value? Although Su Chen had already proved it during the battle with Whitebeard. No matter who it is or what level of attack it is, as long as it is a Beander ability, it can be completely sealed. And there is no cost. But after all, Zhang Guo and others only learned this from paper reports. They need to make sure that Su Chen's sealing fruit ability is foolproof. Aside, the 3 admirals and Garp stood not far away. I saw that Zhang Guo was planning to release the shockwave with all his strength right from the start. His complexion changed. He is a fleet admiral known as a wise general, but he is able to release a shockwave of such terrifying power. It's really scary, Kizaru said slowly. Shouldn't the test be done in a gradual escalation of intensity? This is very dangerous for Su Chen. If you are not careful, you may be seriously injured. Even if Su Chen has a strong self-healing ability, I think it is very irrational to do this. Aokiji's eyes were serious. If Su Chen cannot eliminate the shockwave released by the Warring States Fleet Admiral, then Su Chen will be in danger in an instant. Akainu, on the other hand, looked at the Sengoku who was constantly gathering strength, with a very gloomy expression. This guy. Could it be that Chief of Staff he has offended you? Not only did you use the power of the fruit, but you also mixed in Conqueror's domineering. Do you want to kill Su Chen? At the side, Garp, who was originally smiling, now looked serious. Sengoku not only used the power of the fruit, but also released Conqueror's haki at the same time, wrapping around the shockwave energy released by the Buddha fruit. This is not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. The effect produced by the superposition of the two. It is definitely a geometric improvement. The destructive power caused will be horrific. Garp leaned forward slightly, both hands making grappling movements. This was his preparation to rescue Su Chen at any time. As long as Su Chen encountered any accident, he would rush forward immediately and help Su Chen avoid most of the damage released by Zhongguo. As a marine hero, he once defeated rocks together with Roger. He knew very well how powerful it was when Zhongguo activated the Buddha fruit and released the Buddha's shockwave. Even though they knew that Su Chen had the self-healing ability to the point of being able to come back to life. Garp believed that if Su Chen could not resolve the power of the shockwave, then there is almost no chance of Su Chen surviving. Are you ready, kid? At this moment, the energy of the Buddha fruit in Zhongguo's hand has been stimulated to its peak. As long as he wants, he can inflict a devastating blow at any time. This is why he chose the Marine Headquarters Preparation Square. After all, this place faces the sea, so even if you launch an attack with all your strength, it won't cause much impact. Su Chen looked at the golden Buddha statue of the Warring States period that was dozens of meters tall in front of him. The terrifying and majestic energy ball in his hand was filled with a destructive aura. There was no fluctuation in his expression. It seemed as if he didn't care at all about the shockwave that was about to be released by Sengoku. Compared to the worried marine admirals and hero Garp, Su Chen's reaction was terrifyingly calm. Facing the question from Sengoku Fleet Admiral, he nodded. He answered very calmly, "Bring it on." Su Chen's words had just fallen. The overwhelming will to destroy erupt from the hands of the warring states. Everyone's hair stood on end. This is the will to destroy. The will to destroy everything. Chapter 52 easily resolved. Zhongguo, who used all his strength, could not hurt Su Chen at all. The overwhelming will to destroy. Suddenly it burst out from the hands of the warring states. A blow that changes the color of heaven and earth. Akainu, Aokiji, Kizaru, and Garp. They all stared in the direction of Su Chen. Even the Sengoku Fleet Admiral who performed this move. Seeing that Su Chen has not yet made any plans to defend himself. I was a little panicked. Why didn't Su Chen defend himself? Why don't you take action and use the power of the fruit to neutralize your own attack? Even if you can't resolve it, you should ask for help right away. But Su Chen just stood there calmly. Look at the will to destroy. Envelop yourself completely. On the side, there were two people, Garp and Akainu. I was also extremely anxious. They were about to curse in their hearts. Why hasn't Su Chen taken action yet, even sending out a distress signal? If Su Chen doesn't ask for help, they won't even have a chance to rescue him. Just when everyone was extremely nervous. A crisp sound of snapping fingers was heard. It was Su Chen who snapped his fingers. At this moment, he was facing this overwhelming will of destruction. The crisp sound of the snapping fingers was so inconspicuous. Even if you don't use your observation haki to observe, you won't be able to notice Su Chen's movements at all. Su Chen is still so calm. Even from beginning to end, his facial expression did not change at all. Just saw the moment when the fingers snapped. A mysterious energy fluctuation. It suddenly burst out from Su Chen's body. That terrifying shockwave contained the will to destroy. Just like snowflakes encountering hot water, they began to melt very quickly. That was the shockwave energy that should have swallowed up Su Chen. It just disappeared out of thin air. It's as if it has never appeared. Su Chen used the Sage Art Echo to successfully neutralize the full-strength attack of the Sengoku Fleet Admiral. Even the 7 warlords of the sea dared not withstand this Buddha's shockwave head-on. Even if it was a direct confrontation between the 4 emperors at sea, this shockwave would have to be taken seriously. It was actually resolved by Su Chen so easily, just a snap of fingers. It was so easy, as if it didn't take any effort at all. This shockwave contained the will of destruction, and in the eyes of others it was as terrifying as a nightmare. In Su Chen's eyes, it was just a joke, even the people present. We all knew in advance that Su Chen possessed the ability to seal all fruits and domineering abilities. See Su Chen resolve the attack. There was still an indescribable shock rising in their hearts. The sunglasses on Kizaru's face slipped off the tip of his nose because of shock. He showed a look full of surprise. Akainu was originally worried and had his cigar tightly clenched in his mouth. At this moment, he was so shocked that he actually bit it off. Aokiji's mouth is so big, it's like a whole devil fruit can be stuffed in there. Even the Sengoku Fleet Admiral who released this terrifying shockwave. It's also full of disbelief. The shockwave was expected to cause horrific consequences. At the moment, there is not even any splash, and now. Because of the influence of the Sage Art Echo, Sengoku Fleet Admiral also lost the connection with the Buddha fruit. His body, which is tens of meters high, is like a huge Buddha body made of gold. It quickly changed into its original posture, but at this moment, Sengoku Fleet Admiral didn't notice it at all. He still maintained the posture of launching turtle Qigong waves. He didn't seem to have recovered from the shock, and Su Chen had done all this. At this moment, he showed a faint smile to everyone. Fleet Admiral, I do. Is it considered qualified? In Marine headquarters, the Buddha's shockwave of the Warring States period can be counted except for Garp. The one with the highest attack power. Su Chen was now able to successfully resolve the Buddha's shockwave. Represents the first question raised by the Warring States period. That is, if the attack power is high enough, it can resolve Su Chen's breaking 10,000 methods. The answer is naturally no. Any extraordinary ability will be eliminated by Su Chen's breaking all laws. Will not be affected in any way, Su Chen said this. Only then did everyone present recover from their shock. Aokiji looked into Su Chen's eyes. At this moment, there is no longer a way for seniors to look at juniors. It's a kind of communication between peers. He has completely recognized Su Chen. Able to withstand such an intense attack, no matter what the reason is. Su Chen is qualified to sit on the throne of Marine General. Su Chen, you actually blocked Warring States' attack. I almost couldn't hold it back just now and wanted to go over and rescue you. Fortunately I didn't do that, Garp laughed. He was very satisfied with Su Chen's ability to block the shockwave of the Warring States period. At least at this age, none of the children he trained could reach Su Chen's level. Whether it's Luffy, Ace, or Dragon. Even Aokiji, who has now become Marine General. At Su Chen's age, he is far inferior to Su Chen. Sengoku Fleet Admiral also nodded. He expressed that he was very satisfied with Su Chen's ability to use his ability to resolve his own shockwave. Su Chen, I am very satisfied with your performance. Just remember to react faster next time. Stop worrying us. Warring States certainly knew why Su Chen delayed using his ability until the last moment. Of course it's just to show off, but he doesn't think there's anything wrong with it, being a young man after all. Being young and frivolous is how you should be. Who doesn't like to show off? If everyone present had such powerful abilities at Su Chen's age, I guess each and every one of them is so pretentious that they're so pretentious. Su Chen nodded, which was a response to Warring States Fleet Admiral's words. Warring States coughed and attracted everyone's attention again. This is the first test of your fruit, it's over. So far, your fruit ability is very powerful. Even my shockwave mixed with domineering energy can be resolved. I'm afraid there are not many people in this sea who can hurt you. Warring States gave a very high evaluation to Su Chen's performance. At present, it seems that Su Chen has the qualifications to become a Marine General. Then, Warring States continued. Then we will conduct the second test on your fruit. Boy Su Chen, use all your strength to stimulate your fruit. Let's see how much area your sealed area can cover. Warring States period Fleet Admiral wants to know when Su Chen is using his full power. How much area can this area that can seal fruits and domineering power cover? As long as it can exceed the range of 500 meters, Su Chen only needs to release his abilities on the battlefield. It can easily turn around the situation of any battle. Chapter 53 The Warring States are paralyzed. In 3 breaths, all the special abilities in the Marine headquarters disappeared. Use your full strength, huh? I see. Su Chen repeated the request of the Warring States Fleet Admiral. It seems that after signing in, I got the response of Chao Jiajin's, breaking all methods, sage art. Su Chen has never driven at full power before. After all, breaking all laws means breaking all supernatural powers. Su Chen previously only needed to make the enemies within the range lose their fruit abilities and domineering power. Instead of choosing to use all his strength to activate, break all laws, it is obviously more cost-effective in battle to focus all his energy on the divine power and self-healing ability of Tian Xing Jian. He only remembered that last time he was on Bonero Island, he used break all laws, and the echo covered the entire island. How big is Bonero Island? Anyway, the straight line distance is at least more than 5 kilometers. The burden that the echo puts on belief is almost negligible. Even if it lasts for a day and a night, there shouldn't be any problem. After finishing thinking in my heart, Su Chen slowly closed his eyes and cleared out the messy thoughts in his mind. The Sage Art Echo of 10 Days End is fundamentally different from the Devil Fruit ability. The abilities of Devil Fruits require continuous development and research. The ability to resonate at the end of 10 days requires the power of thoughts. The crazier the thoughts, or the more resolute the beliefs, the more powerful the resonance released will be. Hold your breath and concentrate, eliminating all distracting thoughts. This is what Su Chen is doing now. Just when Su Chen was about to release the break all laws echo field, Garp simply hugged Sengoku's neck, asked about Zongguo's thoughts. Zongguo, if this kid uses all his strength, how many meters can he reach? My expectation for Su Chen is 500 meters. Zongguo did not mean to hide his inner thoughts. 500 meters. I remember the Momosagi chick who came to report on her work before. Her unique domineering field could only be used within a distance of less than 100 meters. Don't forget, it took his grandson less than 2 weeks to go from being disabled to being able to walk. Do you expect him to continue training and developing his fruit ability while lying in bed? Garp believes that Zhongguo's expectations of Su Chen are too high. 500 meters for Su Chen, it's indeed a bit demanding. After all, the longest distance on an international standard football field is only a little over 100 meters. The Warring States period actually magnified this requirement by 5 times. You can see how difficult it is. The 3 generals nearby heard the exchange between Sengoku and Garp. They also started communicating. Kasosky, how many meters of territory do you think this kid you're optimistic about can display? Kizaru asked Akainu. HMPH, at least 200 meters is no problem. Akainu snorted. He spoke out what was in his mind. The straight line distance is 200 meters. The distance of the domineering field displayed by Momosagi Gion, who has the strength of a quasi-admiral, is doubled. It can be seen that Akainu is still very optimistic about Su Chen. But even so, Akainu still made a very conservative guess about the distance at which Su Chen could cast the sealing field. After all, everyone knows that the more abnormal the ability, the more you perform it, the greater the consumption on your body. Su Chen's ability to seal fruits and domineering power should be considered the top ability. The consumption on the body must be enormous. I just don't know how long Su Chen can last when he uses all his strength to seal the field. How long can Su Chen last if he exerts his full abilities? This indicator was probably also within the scope of consideration in the Warring States period. After all, on the battlefield, if the sealed area can only last for 1 or 2 seconds. Even if the coverage is very wide, the effect is still very limited. After Kizaru and Akainu gave their guesses, Aokiji touched his chin and gave the number in his mind. I think we still need to take Su Chen's talent into consideration. From the surprises he has brought us before, if we don't consider the duration, I think it should be no problem to reach the 500-meter range mentioned by Fleet Admiral. The effective range during combat should be around 300 meters. Just after everyone guessed the distance of Su Chen's release field, his eyes once again focused on Su Chen. It was at this time. On Su Chen, a mysterious energy wave appeared out of nowhere. With Su Chen as the center, it quickly spreads out in all directions. This is the echo of Su Chen's full strength, breaking all laws. The energy rushed into the sea almost instantly, cover the locations of the 3 generals, Garp and Sengoku. Everyone's eyes fixed. They all felt that their connection with the fruit's domineering power had been severed. That's all. The distance at which Su Chen released the seal field has exceeded 300 meters. Exceeded Akainu and Aokiji's guess, but that's not all. Covering the 3 generals in the Warring States Garp is just the beginning. The speed of releasing the sealed area did not slow down because of this. Even the speed of spread is accelerating, it was barely a blink of an eye. The range of 500 meters is completely covered by Su Chen's sealing area. The Sengoku Fleet Admiral seemed to have noticed something, and he quickly took a few steps to the side. He opened up a distance of 500 meters from the others. But there is still no connection between him and the Devil Fruit. The sealed field released by Su Chen has already met the requirements of the Warring States for Su Chen. Seeing this, a look of surprise flashed in Zhongguo's eyes. He discovered that Su Chen still had a lot of strength left. This means that for Su Chen, the seal area covering 500 meters is not a burden at all. Break all laws is still expanding the range it covers. And the speed is getting faster and faster. In the first blink of an eye, the sealed area only covered a few hundred meters. Physical monsters like Garp or Whitebeard can easily leave the area with a few jumps. When he blinked the second time, the area within a radius of 3 kilometers was completely covered by the sealed area. But now it is a bit difficult for Garp to leave, when the third blink passed. Throughout the Marine headquarters, there is no longer any Devil Fruit user in existence. Because it happened suddenly, the Warring States Fleet Admiral did not know that the field released by Su Chen could cover such a huge range. So he did not inform his subordinates in advance. This caused a lot of commotion in the Marine headquarters. When everyone present blinked for the 4th time, Su Chen finally slowly opened his eyes and smiled at everyone present. Sengoku Fleet Admiral, my domain has been released. Chapter 54. Getting 100 points is the limit of the test paper, not Su Chen's limit. I heard Su Chen say that he had been released. Everyone present showed a look of curiosity. Their observation hockey has now been sealed, so they have no idea how large the range of the domain Su Chen is currently displaying is. Garp made several sudden leaps into the distance. In just a few seconds, they arrived at a location 1 kilometer away. But after feeling it a little, he still found that the domineering aura had not returned. This means that at this moment he still did not leave the sealing area cast by Su Chen. Garp was a little surprised. It has come to a kilometer away in a straight line, but has not yet left Su Chen's territory. Garp went forward another 2 kilometers. At this moment, they were already 3 kilometers away from Su Chen and his group. This position is almost reaching the limit of many powerful observation hockey masters. But it still did not leave Su Chen's sealed area. There was a flash of shock in Garp's eyes. He looked towards the southeast. That was the Marine training base in the back mountain, at least 2 kilometers away from where he was now. Garp moved forward rapidly, like a shooting star in the sky. Finally, half a minute later, Garp arrived at the Marine training ground in the back hill, panting. Because he couldn't use hockey, Garp was exhausted from moving forward at high speed several times in a short period of time. It is still a ruin at the moment, waiting for the logistics troops to carry out repairs. Garp communicated with the hockey in his body again. As expected, it is still out of control. It's as if I have never been domineering. At this point, the stubborn Garp finally gave up. He was simply too lazy to return to Su Chen and the Warring States group. He sat down on the ground. He took out a Den Den Mushi from his back pocket. Be prepared to make a phone call. Tell Zhang Guo what he encountered from a distance. But when he dialed the Warring States Den Den Mushi, he unexpectedly found that the call could not be connected at all. What's going on? Could it be possible that Den Den Mushi would also be affected by Su Chen's ability? Garp was confused and made several more phone calls. I called Zhang Guo, but no one answered. I called the 3 generals, but no one answered. I even called Chief of Staff He, but he didn't pick up either. But no matter what, the call could not be connected. Garp was a little annoyed because the call couldn't be connected. He simply stopped calling and headed straight towards where Su Chen and the others were. And now our attention returns to the Warring States period. If only Garp could see what's happening now. Of course I understand why the call couldn't be connected. Because all the special ability users in the entire Marine headquarters returned to normal people, it caused quite a commotion. Many people called the 3 admirals directly, and some even chose to call the Sengoku Fleet Admiral directly. After everyone present received several calls, they all understood it. The entire Marine headquarters is at least within a 5-kilometer radius. All those with special abilities were not spared. Their abilities and domineering auras were all sealed, and they all became ordinary people. They all turned to look at Su Chen, they all look like they are looking at a monster. The area covers at least more than 5 kilometers. Is this a human? No one has ever released a domain that is measured in kilometers. Even the silent and arrogant Kizaru, I can't hold it anymore. He used Den Den Mushi directly to call his subordinates in the scientific corps located in the suburbs of the Marine headquarters. There, it is close to Su Chen's current location. At least 10 kilometers away. It's impossible that the scientific troops 10 kilometers away were also affected by Su Chen's domain aura, right? But Kizaru hasn't gotten through the call yet. The Den Den Mushi in his hand rang first. Kizaru answered the phone. The person on the other end of the phone was Zhan Taowen from the Science Corps. Old man. Something big has happened. I don't know what's going on, but all the devil fruit users and those who can use hockey in our science unit have all turned into ordinary people. Hear what Zhan Taowen said on the other end of the phone. Kizaru only felt his eyelids twitching. Outrageous. This is outrageous. Within a radius of 10 kilometers. No one was spared. What made Kizaru feel even more shocked? But this is probably not Su Chen's limit, but the farthest away from their position is his Marine Science Corps. It was like the full score for the exam was 100, and Su Chen got 100 points. This is the limit of the test paper, not his, Su Chen's limit. Although Su Chen said nothing and did nothing, he just followed the request of Fleet Admiral Sengoku and fully released his devil fruit ability. But I don't know why. Kizaru just felt that Su Chen was showing off. Show off in front of their top Marine fighters, the 3 generals, the Sengoku Fleet Admiral, and the Marine heroes. And what annoyed him the most was, Su Chen really managed to act like this. He couldn't say anything to Su Chen yet. Kizaru was not calm. On the side, Fleet Admiral Zhang Guo answered the phone and completed the remote command. He looked at Su Chen with great excitement. At this moment, in Zhang Guo's eyes, Su Chen was like one of the great secret treasures placed by Roger. Precious no Su Chen in front of him, but it is a secret weapon that can release a radius of more than 10 kilometers and seal all fruits and domineering abilities. Su Chen, tell me the truth. How far can this domain of yours be released? How long can this situation last? Didn't you restore Vice Admiral Momosagi's original strength in your domain before? If you want to do this, what is the maximum size of your domain that you can maintain? Zhang Guo directly grabbed Su Chen's shoulders. He shook Su Chen hard in a completely ungraceful manner. He asked questions one after another like a string of cannonballs, and he really wanted to know the answers. After a little thought, Su Chen gave the answer. According to my estimation, the maximum diameter of the domain should be around 22 kilometers. If we maintain this state, it will be no problem to maintain the field for at least 3 to 5 hours. If we want to restore the friendly forces in the area to their original strength, the requirements for me will be much higher. If a team of about 100 people is allowed to fully recover their strength and fight within my territory can only maintain a range of 5 kilometers at most. As for the duration, it can only last about 1 to 2 hours. 22 kilometers, lasts 3 to 5 hours. It can restore the strength of 100 people in the area, and can also expand the area to a range of 5 kilometers. Lasts for at least an hour, after hearing the answer given by Su Chen. Zhang Guo took a deep breath. Hiss hiss hiss. Look at this, is this still human language? Chapter 55. Warring states. Enough, enough, I know you can last long. So, Sengoku Fleet Admiral, have I passed the assessment for the Marine Admiral? Su Chen asked what he wanted to know most now. After all, he needed to hurry to Mary Joa, the residence of the Celestial Dragons. Sign in at the 5 Elders' office in Pangu City. Therefore, he must quickly obtain the position of Marine Admiral. When Zhang Guo heard Su Chen's question, the corners of his mouth twitched. They have already shown such heaven-defying performance. How dare I not give you the position of Marine Admiral? If I don't agree to your request, I will just give you a position of Marine Lieutenant General. Just like he usually does to other new generation Marines, he painted a rosy picture for them. If Su Chen was young and arrogant, he just ran off to join the Revolutionary Army or become a pirate. The duck that was in his hand flew away. I'm afraid that Sengoku must have fainted in the toilet crying. And if Zhang Guo's immediate superior, the commander-in-chief of the 3 armies, Gangji Yukong, knew that he had let Su Chen go, I'm afraid the consequences for myself will be disastrous. Zhang Guo coughed and said, Su Chen, I never thought you could surprise me so much. You already have the qualifications to become a Marine Admiral. I will immediately report this matter to the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Mr. Kong Gang. Once the Celestial Dragons approve it, we can proceed with the ceremony of conferring your rank. Hear what Zhang Guo said. Su Chen was delighted, very good. Finally, I succeeded in obtaining the qualification to become a Marine Admiral. Having demonstrated such strength, Su Chen didn't believe that Gang Gakong would let go of such a talented young man like him. Su Chen didn't care about the awarding ceremony, mainly the opportunity to enter Mary Joa's. Su Chen hurriedly asked Zhang Guodao, Sengoku Fleet Admiral, I heard that to become a Marine Admiral, one must enter Mary Joa and meet with the Celestial Dragons for an interview. Is that true? Can I enter Mary Joa later? Zhang Guo nodded. Su Chen was very surprised to know this. In the entire Marine headquarters, he knew that he could become a Marine Admiral. Only a few quasi-admiral level warriors knew that they needed to enter Mary Joa to be examined by the Celestial Dragons. You know quite a lot. Vice Admiral Momosagi told you that, didn't he? This matter is indeed true. After Commander-in-Chief Steel Sora approves the report, you will need to come with me into Mary Joaquin to face the review of the Celestial Dragons. Zhang Guo subconsciously thought that it was Momosagi who told Su Chen that he knew the general was going to enter Mary Joa to meet the Celestial Dragons. Remember, Su Chen boy. Although the Celestial Dragons are arrogant and unreasonable, I actually hate their arrogance in my heart, but when facing them, I absolutely cannot show any negligence. Zhang Guo gave Su Chen some instructions. He didn't want Su Chen to do anything out of line because of his youth and arrogance or because he disliked the Celestial Dragons. People say that Marine is a dog raised by the Celestial Dragons. So what? If you become a dog of the Celestial Dragons, you can protect the people of the world. Zhang Guo believed that this deal was not a loss. Su Chen nodded, responding to Zhang Guo's words. By the way, Su Chen, I have another question for you. It has nothing to do with the Marine Admiral's assessment. You can choose to answer this question or not. You said that your self-healing ability, which was generated by the awakening of your devil fruit, can reach its limit? In the early hours of this morning, that old fellow Garp smashed your body into pieces with one punch, but you were able to restore it to its original state. Does this mean that your self-healing ability is extremely strong, even stronger than Kaido, and has achieved the effect of immortality? This question came to Su Chen and Momosagi Gion when they returned to the Marine headquarters. After Zhang Guo overheard it, he became very curious. Zhang Guo definitely didn't believe what Su Chen said, that the self-healing ability was an ability produced by the awakening of the devil fruit. Even Zhang Guo felt that Su Chen was not a devil fruit user at all. After all, the effect of this so-called sealing fruit is too heaven-defying. From ancient times to the present, there has been no devil fruit ability in the world that can suppress the existence of domineering. After all, in this sea, people have always believed that fruit is king and dominance is supreme. Zhang Guo didn't want to ask Su Chen any further questions. After all, who doesn't have secrets? But Zhang Guo was too curious about Su Chen's self-healing ability. That's why he couldn't bear it anymore and asked Su Chen. I heard the question from Sengoku Fleet Admiral. Su Chen was not surprised either, he just smiled and said. I don't really know the limit of my self-healing ability. After all, Mr. Zhang Guo, as you can see, a dozen days ago, I was still a poor creature dying in a hospital bed. The time I have been reborn is too short, and I am not yet that proficient in developing and controlling my own abilities. Of course, Su Chen would not choose to tell others about his past. My weakness is my brain. As long as my consciousness does not exist, I will not be able to use the sage art echo of Tian Xing Jian to heal myself. Su Chen would just keep this to himself. Even if it was Granny Su Chen would not tell her. So when he heard Zhang Guo's question, Su Chen just found an excuse and evaded the question. All right. Zhang Guo nodded. How could he not see that Su Chen just didn't want to say it? But after all, it concerns other people's secrets, so I really shouldn't ask too many questions. Even the three marine admirals, Aokiji and Akainu, have many things they don't want to tell others. If you don't want to say it, then don't say it. As long as he has the common people in his heart, he will always stand on the side of the marine forces. There would be no interference during the Warring States period. The review of Marine General Su Chen has been completed. Zhang Guo was about to announce that everyone should disband and return to their respective work. But this time, not far away, a figure was running quickly from a distance. Everyone looked closely. It's Garp who's back, he walked and cursed. Su Chen, why don't you remove your seal? You're not tired of releasing domains all the time, but I am very tired. Sengoku heard what Garp said, only then did he react. Just now, I remotely directed the entire marine headquarters through Denmushi and implemented the emergency plan. But the most important thing is that he has not asked Su Chen to cancel the seal area yet. Zhang Guo thought of this in his heart. He couldn't help but look back at Su Chen. His eyes were full of resentment. How come this kid has no foresight at all? After showing how awesome you are, just cancel it right away. You keep releasing the domain. Are you trying to show off? Are you durable? Su Chen, quickly remove the domain. Su Chen. 1. Warring States. Chapter 56. Red Hair and Whitebeard team up to rob the prison and advance into the city to save Ace. Warring States General Su Chen applied to become Marine General, and he approved it. Reported to the Commander-in-Chief of the three armies, Gang Ji Yukong. And I hope Cyborg Kong will contact 5 elders. Review Su Chen as soon as possible. Let the Marine headquarters hold the awarding ceremony for Su Chen earlier. This news. Soon he received special attention from Cyborg Kong. After all, a young man in his 20s can be favored by the Warring States Fleet Admiral. He was admitted out of his shell and became Marine's 4th General. This really surprised Cyborg Kong. Originally, he planned to visit Marine headquarters in person. Go meet this boy named Su Chen. But the message sent by the Warring States period to Cyborg Kong directly attached an image of Su Chen's previous display of abilities captured by the phone bug. Among them is not only the Warring States Fleet Admiral's review of Su Chen. Even the battle between Garp Akainu and Su Chen was captured in it. I watched the video of Su Chen showing off his magical powers. Cyborg Kong's head stretched out in surprise. I watched the video sent by Warring States several times in a row to make sure that I was not suffering from blurred vision or hallucinations. After learning that Su Chen was so awesome, Cyborg is unambiguous. It was directly reported to the Tianlong people who were responsible for the news that Su Chen was promoted to Marine General. The Tianlong people received the news and quickly forwarded it to the 5 elders in Pangu City. The 5 elders learned that there was such a talented and evil boy within the Marine headquarters. He is only in his 20s and has the strength of a general. He also possesses the heaven-defying devil fruit, and has a record of fighting Whitebeard with no outcome. If the source of this news is not the news from the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces Gang Gekong, everyone in 5 elders may not think that this must be a fabricated novel. After all, the materials submitted to the 5 elders were not just Cyborg Kong's report. There are also the results of the comprehensive investigation of Su Chen. When several people found out, more than 10 days ago, Su Chen was a young boy who had lost his legs and was about to come to the end of his life. This shocked them even more, and a feeling of joy emerged in his heart. After all, until now, there is no trace of the devil fruit in the form of the Renren fruit, phantom beast species, and Nika. Fortunately, Su Chen appeared in Marine. If it appears in the Revolutionary Army or the pirate camp, another Nika fruit owner appears, then the pressure on their 5 elders is full. Among the 5 elders, most people think so. Su Chen should be made a Marine General as soon as possible. After all, Su Chen has not officially joined Marine yet. Or even just an idle employee at Marine headquarters. For such a genius, Su Chen must quickly obtain the rank of Marine General. Tie Su Chen firmly to the ship of Marine forces. Only in this way can Su Chen be better used as a dog for the Tianlong people. This prevents any instability in the sea. Stabilize. Greater than anything else. Although most people in 5 elders believe that Su Chen should be made a general as soon as possible. But there was still an unharmonious sound. He believed that Su Chen had such monster strength at the age of 20. People like Su Chen are very difficult to control. It should be announced that Su Chen entered Mary Joa and then secretly killed her. Made this suggestion. It's the ancient Saint Figalandu Green, the Commander-in-Chief in charge of the Knights of God. Although I haven't actually met Su Chen yet, I don't know why. I just saw Su Chen's photo on the profile. This made Saint Jian feel a touch of disgust. This is an indescribable disgust that comes from the depths of the soul. The last person who made Jian Sheng feel this way. It's One Piece. Goldie Roger, but his voice is still too small in the entire 5 elders team. In the end, Jian Sheng compromised, followed the advice of several others. Let Su Chen enter Mary Joa as soon as possible to meet the 5 elders. But when Su Chen really enters Mary Joa, should we kill Su Chen? That depends on what Jian Sheng thinks at that time. Anyway, even if he killed Su Chen, the other 5 elders would not say anything. After all, they were willing to let Su Chen become a marine admiral. In fact, they just hoped to be able to control a genius like Su Chen. Kill Su Chen to prevent future troubles. From the perspective of the Tianlong people, there is actually no difference. At most, Marine will feel a little more pressure when facing the revolutionary army and pirates in the future. Turn your gaze to the other side, on the vast ocean. Red Hair jumped from the deck of his pirate ship. Then he came to a place not far away, on the deck of the Whitebeard pirate's main ship. About 10 meters in front of the red-haired man, Whitebeard was sitting on his throne. He is nearly 7 meters tall, even now he is sitting. It is still like a small mountain, with a full sense of majesty. Red Hair, what do you want to do by coming here this time? Are you here to make fun of me for not being able to save Ace? Or are you involved in Marine's plan to siege Ace? Whitebeard narrowed his eyes slightly, looking coldly at the red-haired girl in front of him. A murderous intent that was almost materialized directly enveloped the red-haired man. However, Red Hair showed no concern for Whitebeard's murderous intent. He said to Whitebeard calmly, "It was indeed me who asked you to change your mind and go get Ace back. I didn't think this through enough. Whitebeard, I apologize. But I was not involved in Ace being captured by Marine." Whitebeard was still releasing strong murderous intent, locking onto the red-haired man in front of him. He held the Naginata Murakumo Kiri in his right hand, as if he was ready to attack at any time. "Then why do you come here?" The redhead smiled. He took out a wine gourd from behind him. He sat down there in a very ungraceful manner. Just took a big gulp. It seems that he is not afraid of Whitebeard attacking him at all. Then he slowly spoke to Whitebeard. "Whitebeard, I came here this time to help you. Rescue Aces." "What?" Whitebeard raised his eyebrows, feeling very surprised by Shank's words. "Ace should have been imprisoned and Impel Down by now. But I think with the 500 million bounty on his head, even if his biological father's identity is not revealed, he is still likely to be imprisoned on the 6th floor of Impel Down. After all, Crocodile, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, was imprisoned on the 6th floor of Impel Down with a bounty of only 80 million. You should have already planned it, a plan to force your way into Impel Down and rescue Ace. Ace is Roger's son. As one of his former crew members, I can't just turn a blind eye. So, let me get involved." The red-haired man took another sip of wine and smiled at the white-bearded man. Whitebeard was silent for a while, then finally stood up. He came to the red-haired man and snatched the wine gourd from his hand. He also took a sip of wine and burst into laughter. "Since you want to join, I won't refuse. Then let's go together and break into this Push City. Chapter 57 System. Eternal Life? Next time for sure. Red Earth Continent, the junction of the first and second halves of the Grand Line. This is where the world government is located. It is also the residence of the Celestial Dragons. Holy Land Mary Joa. Su Chen received a notice to go to Mary Joa to meet with the 5 elders. Now I have come here with the Sengoku Fleet Admiral. In front of Su Chen, it is an extremely huge and magnificent gate. The gate has a simple shape and you can tell at a glance that it has gone through a long time. Through the introduction of the Warring States period, Su Chen knew and passed through this gate. They have officially entered the territory of Pangu City. It's not far from where the 5 elders are. Boy, remember what I told you before? When communicating with the Celestial Dragons, remember not to be rude or neglectful. Even if the other party takes the initiative to provoke trouble, you must not conflict with them. Suffering a loss is a blessing. Suffering a loss is a blessing. Zhan Guo reminded Su Chen in his ear. Okay, Sengoku Fleet Admiral. I will definitely keep your words in mind. This is what Su Chen said. But from the bottom of my heart, Su Chen really didn't take these Tianlong people seriously. This time I came here just to complete the system's sign-in task. System, will my check-in location still appear in Mary Joa? Su Chen asked the system in his heart. Ding ding ding. Answer host, the check-in locations are completely random, but they are all famous places in the One Piece world. So this system cannot guarantee whether you will need to come to the Holy Land of Mary Joaquin to check in again in the future. However, the check-in locations will not appear at the same location consecutively, please rest assured, host. In the mind, the system immediately answered Su Chen's question. That is to say, I won't come again in the short term, but in the long term. It's not impossible that I will need to come to Mary Joan again to sign in. It seems that it is not possible to turn against the Tianlong people now. Start from the entrance to Mary Joa. Su Chen saw many arrogant and domineering Tianlong people. They all look like they deserve a beating. I really want to punch them in the face. But after all, Su Chen had worked in society for several years in his previous life, so he was able to keep his emotions under control. I want to have the confidence to not look at the eyes of the Celestial Dragons. I need to at least have the peak strength comparable to that of Marine Hero Garp and One Piece Roger. If you want to have this level of strength, you probably need to at least sign in and out. Only the Sage Art on Tianlong and Qinglong in 10 days end will work. Alternatively, sign in the Heaven Defying, Eternal Life, to directly revive the remnants of the old era. He is also qualified to beat up the celestial dragons. But after being resurrected, they may not necessarily listen to me. Heart stealing seems to be a must-have. Anyway, no matter what, as long as I enter this gate, it should be possible to sign in for the third time. When Su Chen was thinking this in his heart, the door in front of me began to shake and made a heavy sound. Then it slowly opened. The scene inside the gate appeared in front of Su Chen and Zhongguo Fleet Admiral. Su Chen was very familiar with the scene here. It was the meeting room where the 5 elders held their meetings. In his previous life, Su Chen had seen this scene in comics countless times. However, when Su Chen personally came to the scene in this comic, he still felt a different feeling. Inside the meeting room, the 5 elders are posing there pretentiously. Do you think this is handsome and cool? Su Chen felt that posing like this was very stupid. Greetings, Your Excellency the 5 elders. I have brought Su Chen here. Please take a look at it. Zhongguo saluted and spoke first. Following Zhongguo's words, Su Chen looked at the people in front of him. At this time, Su Chen was the one who discovered it. The 5 elders actually consisted of 6 people. What's going on? Could it be that there are 5 of the 4 Uranus? After taking a closer look, Su Chen discovered it. There is one more person, Galen Saint. I just don't know whether the appearance of Saint Garen here represents the position of martial god in the scientific field of the 5 elders. He is also the commander-in-chief of the Knights of God. After all, if it is the former, it will change the plot. Su Chen remembered that Saint Garen became the new 5 elders after Saint Satan was executed by Yim. But the commander-in-chief of the Knights of God is not inferior to the 5 elders, right? Su Chen was not quite sure, but even if he was curious, he knew it now. Now is definitely not the time to ask yourself, or quietly reduce your presence. Sign in quickly. I thought of this in my heart, he immediately asked the system in his mind. System, I have now arrived at the designated location. Sign me in. Ding ding ding. The host's location is detected, and it coincides with the check-in point. Sign in and punch in. Host successfully clocked in. Extracting system rewards. The system is shut down. A large wheel appeared out of thin air, still only Su Chen can see it. Sign in successfully. Su Chen breathed a sigh of relief when he saw the system's big dial appear. Fine. This time the system didn't mess with itself. If the same situation as the first sign in occurs again. Just like you were walking up to Ace and asking him to move aside, you are asking the 5 elders to move aside so that you can sign in. This consequence. Tisk tisk tisk. Su Chen couldn't even imagine it. How sour and refreshing it would be. If that's the case, then why not sign into eternal life and summon the remnants of the old era? I'm afraid this matter cannot be resolved, so what good things can you win by signing in this time? Su Chen watched the big turntable spinning rapidly. I was very curious. In the end of 10 days, the more powerful the sage art is, the more words it has. For example, the protagonist Qi Sha's eternal life are the 4 most awesome words. The second is the echo of 3 words. Now, the 2 responses that Su Chen obtained, Xiao Jiajian's break all laws, and Zhang Shan's heaven moves strong, are both responses of 3 words. The echo of the 3 words, the only ones left seem to be twin flowers and heart stealing. What will be the response this time, if 2 words echo? Qinglong's thunder, hover, Tianlong's clever object, entering dreams, and Xuanwu's immortality, all seem to be very good. Just at this moment, the system's large turntable slowly stopped. This time, the pointer stopped at the position of eternal life. Su Chen's pupils suddenly shrank. Oh shit, shipped. Just when Su Chen thought he had drawn the most awesome response. The pointer on this damn system's big dial actually moved back slightly. The pointer hovered at the position of heart stealing, chapter 58. Warring states. Celestial dragon. I burn your dreams. Time to blink. The method of how to use heart stealing appeared in Su Chen's mind. System. You're a jerk. Are you still following me to the mall's big turntable and using that lousy trick? Su Chen suddenly became anxious. He is so red. The endless life I got flew away. Just a moment ago, Su Chen had already started thinking. Is it to resurrect Roger or Rox, or maybe draw the 5 elders on the left or right cheek? But now it's good. The duck that was in my mouth flew away. How can Su Chen not be popular? Although heart-stealing soul is considered by Qinglong to be the most powerful sage art in the 10 days end. But no matter how powerful it is, it's not as awesome as my brother Qi's endless life. Just when Su Chen was about to get angry, not far away, one of the 5 elders, Saint Jagolusha Satan, wearing a gray coat and a big beard. He looked at Su Chen without any scruples. You're the boy that Kong Ji Yu mentioned. It doesn't look that good. You're so weak. Are you sure you can fight Whitebeard? It can be seen that he is not particularly satisfied with Su Chen. It seemed that in his opinion, Su Chen was not as powerful as the report said. Whether this guy is powerful or not, won't we know after trying him? Saint Figalondo Green said quietly while wearing sunglasses. He said as he spoke, while walking directly towards Su Chen. Moment. A familiar buzzing sounded in Su Chen's mind. It's the feeling of being locked in. The majestic aura instantly oppressed Su Chen to the point where he couldn't breathe. Open black lens bracket break all laws. Close black lens bracket was activated by Su Chen. In an instant, the locked aura disappeared completely. Jialansheng discovered that the lock on Su Chen was ineffective. His eyebrows suddenly raised. He was very surprised. After decades, someone was able to break the lock on me right under my nose? How did this guy do it? You have to know that when he was in the Valley of the Gods, he fought a great battle with Roger's pirate group. One Piece Roger was unable to unlock himself. You can only rely on God to avoid this move and force yourself to exchange injuries. This kid has a big secret. What Jialansheng hates most is existence that is out of his control. The more he looked at this kid Su Chen, the more he hated him. At this time, he has already come in front of Su Chen. The distance between two people, very close. Boy, let me see how capable you are. Jialansheng snorted coldly. He directly got close to Su Chen's face and used the three-color domineering power on him. A terrifying aura appeared instantly. There was a strong gale throughout the venue. Suddenly exploded from Jialansheng's body. This huge energy like the sea was compressed so rapidly. Finally, it gathered in an area of 5 meters with Su Chen as the center. This place surprisingly includes the Warring States Fleet Admiral. I felt this terrifying aura. Sengoku Fleet Admiral's expression suddenly changed. He could feel it. Jialansheng did not hold back at all when attacking Su Chen. He just wanted to embarrass Su Chen, or destroy Su Chen with overwhelming force. But why? Could it be that he felt that Su Chen's talent was too extraordinary and was afraid that it would be out of control, so he wanted to create an accident and kill Su Chen? The moment this thought appeared in Zhongguo's mind, he thought it was very possible. Otherwise, it would be hard to explain why Jialansheng would attack Su Chen personally, and even use all his strength. This was something that had never happened to a Marine Admiral before when facing a Celestial Dragon audit. 5 elders not far away, I saw Jialansheng trying to test Su Chen. They all showed an expression of interest. They all wanted to know what kind of abilities this young man had who could compete with the strongest man on Earth, Whitebeard. Let's see if some cards will be exposed under the suppression of Jialansheng. As for Su Chen, if he could not withstand Jialansheng's domineering suppression, he would explode and die. If you die, you die, in the eyes of the 5 elders anyway. No matter how strong Su Chen is, insects are always insects. It's something that is not presentable and dirty. Just like people don't care whether the rats in the gutter live or die. They, the Tianlong people, have never regarded Su Chen and others as human species. Even the Warring States Fleet Admiral next to them, in their eyes. It's just a bug that's slightly stronger than him. Jialansheng's suppression of Su Chen is still increasing. A few blinks of an eye. The intensity of the domineering aura that Jialansheng released towards Su Chen has tripled. In particular, Jialansheng compressed his domineering aura and concentrated it on Su Chen. This level of domineering suppression will increase the effect several times. A terrifying and domineering aura enveloped Su Chen. Even the ground began to crack due to Jialansheng's domineering aura. It seemed that if this continued, the floor tiles on which Su Chen was standing would no longer exist. But Su Chen still looked calm. It seems that he can't feel any suppression at all. The corner of his mouth still maintained that faint smile. In Jialansheng's eyes, this was a naked provocation. This stink bug. How dare you challenge the authority of the Celestial Dragons? This is seeking death. In this case, Jialansheng decided to output his domineering power at maximum power and crush Su Chen's body directly. The Sengoku Fleet Admiral next to Su Chen. His expression kept changing at this moment. From the seriousness at the beginning to the solemnity later. Finally, I have reached the point where I am gritting my teeth and persevering. Jialansheng's domineering suppression did not hold back. Even if Zhongguo could resist, he would at least need to release the Great Buddha form or use domineering aura to resist. But he couldn't do that. Otherwise, the entire marine will suffer revenge from the Celestial Dragons. Maybe we will suffer a devastating disaster. At this moment, Zhongguo's heart had already been filled with Jialansheng in front of him and the 5 elders behind him. They cursed their descendants, family members, and even their dogs. The Warring States period was not spared. The curses I made in my heart were so harsh. But even though he cursed in his heart, he still didn't dare to release his ability to resolve it. I can only rely on my physical body to grit my teeth and fight to the death. Gradually, Zhongguo felt that his vision was getting darker. He felt as if all the flesh and blood in his body was about to be torn apart. Damn it. He cursed in his heart. He knew his condition and could not hold on any longer. If I don't use hockey anymore, or use the devil fruit, maybe Jialansheng would kill himself and Su Chen directly. Just when Zhongguo was torn between his conscience and his desire, not knowing whether he should fight to the death. Suddenly, Zhongguo felt his shoulders relax. I felt the heavy burden on my body disappear completely in an instant. The flesh on his body, which was about to break, seemed to be cheering. Zhang Guo looked at Su Chen and found that Su Chen was also looking at him. He knew that it was Su Chen who took action. This kid, why did he take action now? It really hurts lousy. Damn you Tianlong people, I will burn your dreams. However, the Sengoku Fleet Admiral, who felt a sense of relief in his body, couldn't help but reveal a sly smile. He saw that he was releasing all three colors of domineering aura to suppress the two people in front of him. Su Chen looked calm and at ease. Even Zhang Guo, who had been holding on, showed a lewd smile. This moment, Jielen Sheng was no longer calm. Chapter 59, Heart Stealing. Activated. Jielen Sheng panicked. Figarand, what are you doing? Are you favoring this kid Su Chen? Have you been colluding with Marine for a long time, so you deliberately let this guy go? The other 5 elders saw Su Chen and Zhang Guo. There was absolutely no sign of being suppressed. Su Chen was fine, he just stood there calmly. The Warring States period was different. That grinning and obscene look, it's like an old pervert hugging several beautiful women. The 5 elders present all felt nauseous. They found that they didn't see any good show at all. They all directly accused Jielen Sheng of deliberately letting the game go. Jielen Sheng is a proud and arrogant person. I heard the people behind me accusing me like this. His brows were crooked with anger. He immediately dissolved the domineering suppression he used on the 2 of them. Suddenly inside the scene, the strong wind that swept through the entire room disappeared. He directly pulled out the sword from Jielen Sheng's waist. A hint of terrifying sword intent, bursting out from the scabbard of Galen Saint. Intense black lightning flashes. The light in the entire room dimmed instantly. Even the temperature dropped rapidly. Jielen Sheng planned to use his sword directly to kill Su Chen. Kill Su Chen directly. That will shut up the other 5 elders. He also said that he was in cahoots with Su Chen and deliberately let him win. Talking about this guy together with someone like this, who made Jielen Sheng's soul feel uncomfortable. Just thinking about it made Jielen Sheng angry. Hey, Figaland, you don't want to tear this place down, do you? Are you planning to use that move? Ha ha ha, I'm really curious about how this kid's death will look like. What a pity, I had hoped to make this kid a Marine Admiral and continue to serve as Celestial Dragons as a dog. I saw that Jielen Sheng really intended to kill Su Chen. The 5 elders behind him all began to discuss, but at most I was worried about the safety of the room. From beginning to end, no one cared about Su Chen's life or death. After all, in their eyes, the life or death of insects is of no importance at all. And the Warring States next to Su Chen. I saw the moment when Galen Sheng drew out his sword. The expression changes drastically. He was very familiar with this breath. A few decades ago, during the battle in the Valley of the Gods. I have experienced this during the Warring States period. A few years ago, when capturing redheads in New World. He had also felt this breath, it's God's avoidance. Once it's cast, even gods will have to avoid the slashing blow. Figaland Galinsheng, why did he do this? He didn't understand why Figaland Galinsheng, the commander of the Knights of God, knew Roger's moves. Zhang Guo's eyes were bloodshot, he knew it very well. Although the divine avoidance move used the 3 colors of domineering power, the most important thing was still the terrifying sword intent. This thing, as long as you have mastered the technique of divine avoidance. Even if the fruit ability and domineering ability are sealed. Even an ordinary person can cause extremely terrifying damage. Killing a Marine Lieutenant General in seconds is no problem at all. In this situation, can Su Chen really resist it? The result is probably not. There was almost no hesitation on the part of the Warring States period. He directly used all his strength to activate the Buddha fruit in his body. The 3 colors of domineering aura also began to condense in an instant. If Su Chen was hit by this move, he would definitely die. Sengoku is a Marine Fleet Admiral and a comrade in arms of Chief of Staff Crane. No matter what, he would not watch Su Chen die. He wanted to protect Su Chen and avoid Jielen Sheng's terrifying divine attack. But at this time, the Warring States period did discover it. The Buddha fruit in his body also has domineering power. They are completely unable to be activated. What's going on? Grass. It's the effect of Su Chen's sealed domain. Zhang Guo suddenly reacted. Su Chen had previously helped him use break all laws to resolve the domineering suppression from Jielen Sheng. But at the same time, it also cut off his chance to use the Buddha fruit and his domineering power for a short period of time. If Su Chen is unable to remove his ability on his own initiative, then, I am now just an ordinary strong man. However, even though he was an ordinary person, Zhang Guo took action immediately. Because I don't want to watch Su Chen die, he subconsciously pounced towards Su Chen. But the action is still too slow, it's too late. At this moment, Jielen Sheng had already drawn his sword. A terrifying threat appeared on his blade. The next moment, Jielen Sheng was about to chop at Su Chen. There was a flash of despair in Zhang Guo's eyes. He seemed to be able to see everything. Chief of Staff, he was filled with grief and anger when he heard the news of his grandson's death, and that he was killed by the Celestial Dragons. But at this moment, the entire sky above Mary Joa. Suddenly, a magnificent bell rang out. It's like the golden bell on the Sky Island that no one has rung for 1,000 years. Immediately, an ethereal voice, resounding throughout Mary Joa. I heard a soul-stirring echo, in an instant. Su Chen's eyes seemed to emit a light that did not belong to this world. The light lasted only less than 1,000th of a second. Even someone as powerful as Fujitora, who has the ability to see and hear the hockey, might not be able to spot it if you don't pay attention. Heart-taking, Sage Art Echo is activated. The powerful Sage Art of Qinglong and Yan Zichun in 10 days end. As long as the other person can hear your voice, you can control his body. This is the basic usage of heart-stealing. And if one could develop this resonance to its fullest, one would be able to be like Azure Dragon and Vermilion Bird. Use Soul Steal. Completely take away the target's sanity. Turn the opponent into a walking corpse. This is where heart-stealing is truly perverted. And now Su Chen has obtained this Sage Art Echo by signing in through the system. Naturally, just like the two previous responses, no prior learning is required. As long as Su Chen has a thought, he can unleash the strongest power of the Sage Art Echo. It is even more powerful than the original effect of the Echo in 10 days end. Just like Zhang Shan's heavenly movement, it definitely doesn't have the terrifying self-healing ability that Su Chen has now. Certainly, Su Chen looked normal and spoke in a calm tone. He didn't even blink. Looking at Jialan, who used divine avoidance on him, was as common as seeing a trash can on the side of the road. I heard what Su Chen said. Jialan couldn't help but sneer in his heart. Death is imminent, yet he is still playing tricks here. He immediately planned to swing the sword in his hand and cut Su Chen in half with one blow. But at this time, Jialan was suddenly shocked by a discovery. My whole body felt as if a time pause button had been pressed. He just kept up the motion, about to swing, body. Can't move. I have completely lost control of my body. There was a flash of fear in Jialan eyes. What on earth happened? Chapter 60 Galen Saint Ego Hypnosis. The only one who can control me is Lord I Am. Why did Figeland stop? Didn't you say you were going to use that move to kill that guy? I think he was just putting it on for us. Jialan thought we would stop him from killing that brat. How naive. A man like Jialan actually thinks we will stop him from killing a bug. It's ridiculous. Inside the 5 elders' office. The 5 elders present saw Saint Galen frozen in place. Time seemed to have stopped for him. The sword in his hand was still ready to be swung. However, the terrifying sword intent that was originally ready to be unleashed had already dissipated. The 5 elders expressed their dissatisfaction when they saw that Jialan did not kill Su Chen. But at this moment, he heard Jialan talking bad about him behind his back. I no longer have the desire to get angry. Cold sweat had already soaked his chest. He lost control of his body. I don't know what's going on. Even though my eyelids were extremely dry and I tried my best, I couldn't blink even once. What on earth happened? Jialan was panicked. He hated it most when things were beyond his control. Especially now, I can't even blink. As a noble celestial dragon, Jialan faced 2 ordinary people in front of him. It actually sent the vital point directly in front of the opponent. Although he knew that Zhang Guo and Su Chen would never dare to attack him. But Jialan still felt something. The feeling of being firmly controlled by an invisible and intangible hand. This feeling is really unpleasant. Since he was born, he knew that he was a superior celestial dragon. He had never been treated this way. If he could regain control of his body at this moment, Jialan would definitely roar in rage. He is the commander-in-chief of the Knights of God, a noble being who controls the life and death of the celestial dragons. The only one who could stand on his head and shit was I Am. Even the 5 elders wouldn't dare to offend me, the 5 elders behind him. Been seeing this for so long. Jialan didn't even move. Still maintaining the original posture, no matter how slow or arrogant they are. They all realized that something was wrong, but the 5 elders didn't know what was going on. They all looked in the direction of Su Chen and Zhang Guo at the same time. Just now, Jialan was about to take action against Su Chen and Zhang Guo. If we talk about the people who are most likely to do something to Jialan it must be these 2 people. But just when they were about to interrogate Su Chen and Zhang Guo. But Jialan moved. I saw that Jialan did not continue to stand stiffly in the same place. The 5 elders all breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out to be just a prank by Jialan. I really thought that these 2 ignorant ordinary people would dare to attack the noble celestial dragons. I saw Jialan holding up his sword high. The movements were very stiff, like a puppet. Then, Galen slowly turned around and faced the 5 elders in front of him. Prepared to strike, although this move did not contain any sword intent. But this sudden change still made the 5 elders' present's hair stand on end. Jialan is very powerful. Everyone present was very clear about this. Who knew how terrible the damage could be caused by this attack without concentrated sword intent? They don't dare to gamble. Even among the 5 elders, there is Saint Jagalusha Satan, the martial god of science. It directly transformed into a huge black spider. His aura was concentrated, and he looked at Jiel and Sheng in front of him with full readiness. They were afraid that Jiel and Sheng would do something that they were not expecting. Next to Su Chen, Sengoku Fleet Admiral saw this sudden scene. There was a flash of shock and confusion in his eyes. Shocked that suddenly, the situation on the field changed drastically. Confused because he didn't know what was going on. Why was Jiel and Sheng preparing to release the slashing attack to kill Su Chen? Now it's a rigid U-turn. Turn around and prepare to attack the 5 elders. What on earth happened? At this time, Zhang Guo suddenly remembered. When Jiel and Sheng released his slashing attack and was about to hit Su Chen. Su Chen once said one word to Jiel and Sheng, then a huge bell sounded in the sky. Is that possible? The changes on the field today? It was Su Chen who caused it. This thought appeared in Zhang Guo's mind. Although he thought it was nonsense, Su Chen was just a young man. It's enough to have abnormal sealing ability and heaven-defying self-healing ability. Now let's have a remote control skill. Still powerful enough to control one of the top strongest people in the world. The commander-in-chief of the Knights of God, Saint Galen, who shone brightly in the Valley of God decades ago. This kind of person is controlled by Su Chen. How is that possible? That was when Zhang Guo was doubtful and thinking about what the situation was. The actions of Jiel and Sheng in front of them changed again. The sword that was originally intended to strike at the 5 elders in front of him was directly taken back by him. However, the precious sword was not put back into the scabbard, but was placed against his neck. The sharp blade directly cut a small wound on Jiel and Sheng's neck. Bright red blood flowed directly from his neck. Suddenly everyone present was shocked again. What does Jiel and Sheng want to do? Are you planning to commit suicide in public? But why? Not only the warring states were confused, but also the 5 elders who were on high alert. At this moment, his eyes were filled with big question marks. But who was the most confused among those present? The one who did all this is Jiel and Sheng himself. At this moment, he was extremely anxious, but it's of no use. Although he still couldn't control his body, however, Jiel and Sheng could still feel the pain. He looked at his own blade and cut his neck, a chill that goes straight to the bones. It appeared directly from the bottom of his feet, and then rushed straight to the top of his head. Now even the body cannot take back control. Jiel and Sheng's pupils also began to tremble uncontrollably. He felt a strong threat of death. I'm going to die. As long as the person who controls me is willing, I can commit suicide in public at any time. Jiel and Sheng looked at the blade on his neck. If it moved forward a few centimeters, it would take his life. What is going on? Who is controlling himself? Is it the young boy who just said, decided to me? Impossible. Even Rox and One Piece Roger couldn't control themselves. What's more, he is just an ordinary person who can be crushed to death at any time. Able to do all this in secret, could it be Lord Yimu? It's Lord Yimu, who wants to save this young boy in front of him. This is a warning to myself. That's right, it must be like this. This thought came into Jiel and Sheng's mind. Suddenly, he felt that this was the only correct answer. In the whole world. Apart from Lord Yim who secretly controls everything, who else can possess and control the power of a strong man like me? Chapter 61 Jiel and Sheng. I must survive. In this world, if there is anyone who can control the strong people at the level of 5 elders. Including the words of the commander-in-chief of the Knights of God, such as Garen Sheng. That means it's only Lord Yim. This is the only possibility. Jiel and Sheng thought it through in his mind. Even now, the knife is on his neck. He no longer felt afraid, because he knows, Lord Yimu didn't want to kill himself. If you want to kill me, that's Lord Yimu's character. The knife was no longer against his neck, but was directly cutting him. So to speak. This is pointing at yourself. Jiel and Sheng knew the meaning very well. The problem lies with the young boy who was brought here by Zhang Guo. It's because I don't like this guy. I don't want this guy named Su Chen to become a marine general. He even wanted to take the opportunity to kill him. Lord Yimu is the one who controls himself remotely. This is because I don't want to ruin my plan. What is the plan? Jiel and Sheng understood the current situation without even thinking about it. Of course, it would be the young boy in front of him. Become a marine admiral. Previous reports said that this guy has all kinds of heaven-defying methods. Is it possible? This Su Chen is a chess piece secretly arranged by Lord Yimu? The remnants of the old era, to make a name for oneself on the sea. All of them are over 30 or 40 years old. There is no one like Su Chen, who was a dying disabled person less than a month ago. Now he has transformed into a powerful general. At this time, Jiel and Sheng suddenly thought of it. Could this be Lord Yim's incarnation walking on Earth? Could it be that the body of Su Chen in front of him had already been occupied by Lord Yim's consciousness? If that's really the case, then my dislike for Su Chen has indeed affected Lord Yim's plan. Fortunately, Lord Yimu was kind to me. Not bad, not bad. I am extremely smart. I immediately understood what Lord Yim meant. If it were someone else, they would definitely not be able to think of so many things in an instant. If that happens, I'm afraid Lord Yimu will be really angry and the consequences will be disastrous. Jiao Sheng felt much more at ease. As for what he was thinking, what plan did Lord Yim intend to implement? Then Jiao Sheng didn't plan to think about it. After all, he is a smart man. I know I am not qualified to understand Lord Yimu's plan. The more you know, the faster you die, that's when it happened. Jiao Sheng blinked his eyes. I swallowed subconsciously. Jiao Sheng found that his body was moving again. The precious sword against his neck was put back into the scabbard. Control of the body is also restored at this moment. There was a flash of excitement in his eyes. It is indeed so. After I understood Master Yim's thoughts, the control of my body was returned to me. If Jiao Sheng had still had a little doubt just now, is it possible that everything was actually because Su Chen, this kid, did have some ability to control himself? But now it seems. I was just thinking too much, everything was just as I guessed at the beginning, it was Lord Yim's will. Think of this. He simply put the sword in his hand back into the sheath. The 5 elders saw Galen Sheng sheath his sword. No more preparations for suicide, they all stared at each other. It's not clear what the situation is. Among them is the big bald man, the god of finance and war Nasu Sheng. I couldn't help but ask Jiao Sheng. Jiao Sheng, what's going on with you? Having understood Lord Im's intention, Galen Sheng wore sunglasses. I couldn't see his expression at all at the moment. He said he is cool now and doesn't want to talk, he just walked past the 5 elders coldly. When it was about to disappear from everyone's sight. Then he said lightly, I support this young boy to become the Marine Admiral. I don't care about the rest, it has nothing to do with me. The rest is up to you to decide. I saw Jiao Sheng just left like that. The 5 elders present were all somewhat confused. But at this moment, 2 outsiders, Zhang Guo and Su Chen, are still here. Although they had doubts in their hearts, but it won't appear too uncool. So they planned to ask Jiao Sheng privately later. What is going on? However, since Jiao Sheng had previously expressed his opposition, he indicated that he did not support Su Chen becoming the Marine Admiral. They all agreed that Su Chen was qualified to become a Marine Admiral. It was the 5 elders who originally voted in favor. There is no unnecessary nonsense. It was the bald man Nasu Sheng who spoke directly to Zhang Guo and Su Chen. From the current perspective, Su Chen is indeed qualified to become a Marine Admiral. Go down. We allow you, Marine, to confer the rank of General on Su Chen. From today on, the Marine forces will usher in their 4th General. Nasu Sheng said. Zhang Guo below looked overjoyed. He just saw how badly Jiao Sheng treated Su Chen. He even saw that Jiao Sheng was planning to kill Su Chen. The Warring States period all thought so. This time, not only will Su Chen fail to obtain the qualification of Marine Admiral, but he will also lose his life. But who could have thought? Everything is so unexpected. Su Chen actually obtained the qualification of Marine Admiral. A comrade in arms of Suru's staff. Su Chen can be said to be half-adopted grandson of Zhang Guo. Of course he was happy for Su Chen. Thank you so much. Well, Your Excellencies the 5 elders. We will not bother you anymore and will return to the Marine headquarters first. After Zhang Guo finished speaking, he bowed again to the 5 elders in front of him. He took Su Chen and left the 5 elders' office. Su Chen, who was taken away, was also a little confused at this moment. Jiao Sheng actually let me go just like that. Could it be because I just threatened his life? Did he feel the danger and run away with his tail between his legs? It shouldn't be. In Su Chen's memory, Jiao Sheng should be a guy who is willing to risk his life for the sake of face. But Su Chen didn't care too much. It was directly followed by Sengoku Fleet Admiral. Left where the 5 elders were, heading back towards the Marine headquarters. Now the qualification of Marine Admiral has been obtained. The 3rd system sign-in has also been completed. All mission objectives were completed perfectly during this trip. The only pity is this dog system. He actually resorted to such despicable means. It turned out that he swallowed his own endless life. When Su Chen was thinking this in his heart, the system seemed to be aware of his inner thoughts. He refuted it directly in Su Chen's mind. Ding ding ding. Host, this system is fair and just, there is no favoritism or fraud. Don't wrongly accuse this system. Su Chen heard that the system actually refuted him for the first time. A little unexpected. Is it because of the sign in that the system's intelligence has been upgraded to a certain extent? Okay, you didn't do that to me on purpose. If Su Chen wants to return to his original world now, he still needs to rely on this system. So he was too lazy to argue with the system. Heart stealing, let's just call it heart stealing. Even though it's not as good as eternal life, it's still one of the top echoes. At this time, Su Chen suddenly remembered. After completing the 3rd system sign-in, the system has not proactively informed me. Where is the location of the 4th check-in? Could it be that the new system punch-in task has not been released yet? I thought of this in my heart. Su Chen asked in his heart. System, have you found a location for my 4th sign-in? Ding ding ding. Reply host, the location for the 4th system check-in has just been refreshed. The location is the second half of the Grand Line. The Kingdom of Dressrosa. Artificial Devil Fruit Smile Factory, Chapter 62. Rayleigh was shocked. He could survive even if his body was blown up. Su Chen has an immortal body? The Kingdom of Dressrosa? Smile Factory? Su Chen heard the system mention the fourth check-in location. I felt relieved immediately. This fourth check-in location is not difficult to reach. If there were another extremely difficult sign-in location like Mary Joa's. For example, where I am is and where the giant straw hat is. Or you can go directly to the location of Raftel, the location of Uranus, Poseidon, Pluton. Then Su Chen would really start to curse. However, even places like Wano country that Su Chen can reach. I guess it would be quite difficult for Su Chen. Fine. The fourth sign-in location is the Kingdom of Dressrosa. 7 Warlords of the Sea, a place controlled by the former celestial dragon Doflamingo. Although it is not very close to the marine headquarters. But it takes some time to go back and forth, but you can still get there. 3 days passed quickly. Su Chen and Zhang Guo quickly returned to the marine headquarters. A warm ceremony was held to confer the rank of Marine General. This investiture ceremony, it was carefully prepared by the Warring States period. It's not just the scene that's grand, even more so through Den Den Mushi. A global live broadcast was conducted across the entire Red Earth continent. Aokiji Akainu Kizaru are all here. There is also the marine hero Garp, as well as familiar faces like Momosagi and Granny Suru. All were present. Tens of thousands of soldiers at the marine headquarters were on high alert. This scene is already worthy of being called a military parade. This is a conferment ceremony. Let the whole world know how powerful the marine forces are today. What surprised Su Chen the most was the person who awarded him the title. Not Marine Fleet Admiral Sengoku. It turned out to be the commander-in-chief of the 3 armed forces, Kong Gang. Gang Gakong finally saw Su Chen in person, and he generously awarded Su Chen the title of Marine Admiral. From then on, it was also officially announced. The marine forces under the world government start from today. They will welcome their 4th general. Su Chen is only 21 years old. Through live broadcast, on the Red Earth continent, countless people know Su Chen. They were all very surprised. A young man in his 20s who looks like he has just shed his immaturity. It turned out that he could achieve the position of general. Many people expressed their dissatisfaction. I think Su Chen must have gone there through connections. But there are also voices of opposition. First, think Marine must have known the consequences of announcing Su Chen as the general. Therefore, Su Chen must be very powerful, at least not inferior to the original 3 admirals of Marine. Many people around the world. It was all because Su Chen became the 4th general of Marine that he started a quarrel with people who disagreed with him. The entire old Red Earth continent. It seemed that it was all because of Su Chen that he became active at this moment. And all this quarrel, all of them happened at the end of the awarding ceremony. Zhang Guo transformed into the form of a giant Buddha in public. In front of everyone, he used Buddha's shockwave on Su Chen. Then Su Chen easily blocked it in public. This is the only way to completely resolve the problem. The audience can feel it even if they watch it live. How terrifying is the power of the shockwave unleashed by Buddha's Warring States. And Su Chen is only 21 years old. Facing the attack from the Warring States period, it was surprisingly easy to resolve. Su Chen's strength can definitely be described as breathtakingly strong. If nothing else, at least he is on par with the original 3 Marine admirals. Everyone around the world watching Su Chen's awarding ceremony at this moment. I think there is absolutely no problem. Su Chen's ability is worthy of the position of Marine Admiral. The Great Route, Whitebeard pirate ship. At this moment, Whitebeard and his companions were all looking at the video Den Den Mushi in front of them, which they had obtained from somewhere. It turned out that Marine was broadcasting Live to the World, awarding Su Chen the rank of general. Whitebeard narrowed his eyes slightly. Looking at the screen, Su Chen was being awarded a title by Gang Gakong. He narrowed his eyes slightly. Sure enough, I was right. This kid is Marine's secret weapon. Otherwise, how could he have so many strange abilities? It can no longer be concealed now. This is the title of general. Marco stood behind Whitebeard, looking at Su Chen in the picture. There was a complicated look in his eyes. Dad, after Su Chen becomes the Marine Admiral, he should launch some actions. Will this have any impact on our plan to break into Impel Down and rescue Ace? Whitebeard laughed. Don't worry, I've already discussed it with Red Hair. Although he won't appear in Impel Down by then, he will still act at the same time as us. We are at least 99% sure of rescuing Ace. Marco nodded. Didn't say anything further. For some reason, he always felt that something unexpected would happen during the rescue operation of Ace. Sabaody Islands. Pluton Rayleigh was still wearing slave chains. But he sat on the grass without caring, and watched Su Chen's general awarding ceremony with many people from the Sabaody Islands. Pluton had a jug of wine in his hand, and he took a big gulp directly from the bottle. This is what it means to breathe a sigh of relief. Said to Shaki beside him, Shaki, did you see that? This old guy Sengoku is trying to establish the authority of the 4th general of the Marine. He didn't even use his full strength on that Buddha's shockwave. When that old fellow Zhang Guo gets serious, the power of that shockwave is formidable. Sitting next to Pluden Rayleigh, Shaki smokes a lady's cigarette. Without looking back, he spoke in a calm tone. Didn't Zhang Guo come to our Nine Snake Island before? You need to tell me whether he used his full strength or not. Pluden Rayleigh laughed. Yes, I have forgotten your identity. But you told me before that there was no winner in a fight with Whitebeard. It must be the newly appointed 4th General of Marine, Su Chen. Rayleigh said drunkenly. Shaki took a puff of the lady's cigarette and didn't deny it. It's a disguised form of acquiescence. Is it really him? Do you have any new information about this guy? I really want to know how he could be a disabled person with a broken leg, but now he has no physical defects at all. Shaki turned around and gave Pluden Rayleigh a cold look. Want to know? How about you pay for the wine first? When Rayleigh heard Shaki asking for money, he immediately laughed. Isn't this the Marine live broadcast today? So I didn't sell myself out. Tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, I will sell myself and pay you back all the money I owe you for the wine. When Shaki heard that Rayleigh was willing to pay back the money, he nodded in satisfaction. According to reliable information, this is the self-healing ability that Su Chen developed after his devil fruit awakened. The description of Su Chen's self-healing ability is extremely exaggerated. I have another piece of unconfirmed news for you. She took a deep breath and exhaled a large amount of smoke. It is rumored that Su Chen's body was once blown up by Garp's punch. However, Su Chen did not die. Instead, he reassembled his body and resurrected after a period of time. Hear what Shaki said. Rayleigh froze in place. He was originally dizzy, but suddenly woke up. The look behind the frameless glasses was full of astonishment. After being beaten to pieces by Garp, can you still be resurrected? Is this kid immortal? Chapter 63. Garp is jealous. Su Chen is already a general, but Kobe doesn't even know the hockey. The Great Route. New World, Cake Island. One of the 4 emperors, Charlotte Linlin, known as Big Mom, also known as Big Aunt. He was eating the sweets sent from Fishman Island. At this time, Katakuri knocked on the door. He walked in from outside very respectfully. Mom, I received a very important message. Big Mom heard what Katakuri said. The hand that was wolfing down the sweets stopped. Katakuri knew that this meant that his mother was waiting for him to report the news actively. He quickly reported what he had just seen through the live broadcast, that Su Chen had become the 4th Admiral of Marine. Reported to Aunt. You mean, there's a very talented guy in Marine. In his 20s, he became a Marine Admiral, and then Kong Ji-yu gave that kid a title, and even blocked the attack of Marine Fleet Admiral Sengoku in public. Katakuri nodded and said in a deep voice, Yes, mother. This may have a significant impact on the future pattern of the ocean. This is what I heard Katakuri report. The ant just snorted coldly. In an instant, the temperature of the entire room dropped several degrees. Became extremely cold. Katakuri, you are nothing more than my son. How dare you disturb me while I'm eating for something like this? He's just a Marine Admiral, even if they have a Fleet Admiral and 4 Admirals together. Do you think they dare to touch a hair on our Cake Island? Marine Headquarters. Prepare for battle in the corner of the square. Kirby was looking off into the distance. There was Su Chen who was receiving the rank of General. It's great that I was awarded the title by Commander-in-Chief Steelbone Sora. It would be great if one day I could be awarded a title by Commander-in-Chief Steelbone Sora. Bellimer, who was next to Kobe, heard it. He curled his lips and said sourly. This kid just relied on eating a powerful devil fruit. If I could eat Su Chen's devil fruit, I would definitely be more powerful than Su Chen now. You know, Kobe, I heard some gossip from the medical department. Less than a month ago, Su Chen was still a dying patient in the Marine ward. I heard that he was infected with albinism. Later, he ate the devil fruit secretly sent by Chief of Staff He. Only then did Su Chen regain the ability to walk and possess such abnormal strength. Kobe listened to what Bellimer said. He gave an awkward but polite smile. He did not refute Bellimer either, but Kobe certainly didn't believe that Su Chen's strength only came from the power of the devil fruit. When I went to the training ground, Su Chen protected him and helped him block the fatal aftermath of the battle between Akainu and Garp. At that time, Kobe could clearly feel the powerful aura emanating from Su Chen. That's domineering. Among the Marines, there are many who are about to retire. He hasn't even fully mastered the Marine 6 styles. Su Chen is only in his 20s now, but he has already mastered such a level of domineering power. Such Su Chen. How is it possible to sit on the throne of Admiral just by relying on the power of the fruit? Bellameb, is this how you view Su Chen? Just when Belmir was jealous of Su Chen. Behind the two people, a rough voice appeared. When they heard the voice, their anus tightened and their bodies trembled. They all turned around at the same time. He gave the person in front of him a very standard Marine salute. The visitor is actually the Marine hero Garp who can't stand the serious atmosphere. Now he also has another identity, the master of Bellimer and Garp. Master Garp, I. Belmir obviously didn't know what to say. Garp looked at Kobe again. Kobe, do you think the same as Belmir? Kobe waved his hand quickly. Master, Mr. Su Chen is my savior. If he hadn't helped me block the fatal attack, I would have died on the spot. How could I look upon my savior like this? And he was far away when he heard you, Master, arguing with General Akainu. Just the use of this kind of observation hockey is already at a level that I can't catch up with even if I double my training. Did Su Chen hear everything I said when I was arguing with Akainu? Garp felt his face flush. He punched Bellambear and Kobe directly on the head. Suddenly, a huge bag appeared above their heads. As Garp's apprentices, how could you be surpassed by Su Chen by so much? He's already a Marine Admiral, and you two haven't even become a Lieutenant Commander. It's so embarrassing, you two must undergo special love training. Garp simply grabbed the collars of the two men rudely. Walking towards the distance, Su Chen's ceremony of awarding the title of General ended. Another half-month passed. During this period, Su Chen found the Warring States Fleet Admiral many times. He said he wanted to build a warship, a trip to the sea. But they were all directly rejected by Sengoku Fleet Admiral. The reason was very simple. Su Chen had just become a Marine Admiral and needed to quickly familiarize himself with the various affairs within the Marine headquarters. Okay. This reason was so plausible that Su Chen didn't know how to refuse. When I went to Bonero Island to sign in, it was Granny who made an exception and allowed me to go because she saw that I was about to die. There is no valid reason now and it is not a holiday. If you want to get a warship, go to the 4th check-in location in the system to sign in. It's really not an easy thing to do. Fortunately, with the help of Momosagi, Su Chen only needed a few days. It is to master all the things that need to be known about the Marine headquarters. And Aokiji saw that Su Chen and Momosagi Gion had a good relationship. It was also a favor. Momosagi was directly incorporated into Su Chen's department. Now Su Chen has just become a Marine Admiral and has not been assigned any work by the Warring States Fleet Admiral. Without work, there are naturally no subordinates. Now that Su Chen has learned about the various affairs of the Marine headquarters, he once again approaches the Sengoku Fleet Admiral. Apply for sea experience, but he was still ruthlessly rejected by Zhang. This time, Zhang didn't even give Su Chen a reason. Su Chen felt a little regretful. Why didn't he go directly from Mary Joa to Dressrosa to check in? Then he came back to be awarded the rank of Marine Admiral. This life of a general is a bit too depressing, but things have come to this point, and Su Chen can't change it. I can only try my best to catch the fish first. Just when Su Chen thought that days like this would continue for a while. The Den Mushi he configured made a sound for the first time. The person calling was Momosagi Gion. Momosagi Gion's voice on the phone was full of excitement. Brother Su Chen, the opportunity to go out to sea has come. Chapter 64. Not using force to stop the deal between Ming and Kaido, what a joke. Squeak. The wooden door opened, making a harsh sound. Su Chen slowly walked in from the door, in the room at this moment. It looks like a conference room. Warring States Fleet Admiral is already sitting in the main seat. Akainu and Aokiji sit on the left and right respectively. Not far away, there are two more locations. Needless to say, Su Chen knew everything. One is left for himself, and the other is left for Kizaru Perusalino. After all, Su Chen had already learned about it in advance from Momosagi Gion. Today's meeting. Only the general level can participate. A secret meeting of the highest order. At the meeting, the Warring States Fleet Admiral will issue a series of tasks that only generals can complete. Hey, boy Su Chen, sit over here quickly. Aokiji saw Su Chen arriving and said hello. Akainu, on the other hand, was even more excited, showing a smile that was uglier than crying. He directly moved the chair beside him to his side. He motioned for Su Chen to sit over. Su Chen was not polite either. He immediately sat down next to Akainu. Now that he has become a general, he has also received his third Sage Art response through signing in. Originally, his strength was inferior to Akainu's. And after obtaining Heart Stealing, it is no longer difficult for Su Chen to defeat Akainu. Now the relationship between the two parties is that of a senior and a junior in the workplace. Very good, now everyone is here except Kizaru. Warring States saw Su Chen sitting down, he also nodded. At this time, on the seat left for Kizaru, a little light Madara suddenly appeared. Then Kizaru's shameless appearance just condensed on the chair. Kizaru has arrived. Now, except for Garp, who was not invited to the meeting by the Warring States period, all the Marines with the highest combat capabilities are gathered here. Now that everyone is here, let's get straight to the point. Today is the first time Su Chen has participated in a meeting since he became a general. So I'll just say a few more words. Warring States coughed twice, attracting everyone's attention. Just continued. There are two things I want to talk about today. The first thing is that one of the 4 Emperor's defectors from the Whitebeard pirates, Edward Teach, known as Blackbeard, secretly contacted us yesterday. There is a secret to tell us, but we need to give Blackbeard the identity of 7 warlords of the sea. Blackbeard said unilaterally that this so-called secret far exceeds the value of the identity of 7 warlords of the sea. Although Blackbeard's words are unfounded, because he is a defector on the Whitebeard pirate ship, we currently choose to believe it. I have sent personnel to secretly go to the island where Blackbeard is located to conduct further docking with him. In about 3 days, there will be a preliminary result. Hear what Warring States Fleet Admiral said. Su Chen's brows suddenly raised. Blackbeard asks Marine for the location of the 7 warlords of the sea. Su Chen is familiar with this matter. In the original plot of One Piece, Blackbeard should have captured Ace and used him to replace the identity of 7 warlords of the sea with Marine. In this way, Blackbeard had a chance in the subsequent war on top. Successfully kill Whitebeard and loot the shock fruit. But now, it seems to be a revision of history. Blackbeard actually wanted to use a secret to trade the identities of the 7 warlords of the sea. Given Blackbeard's current situation, it is impossible for him to know other secrets that can replace the identities of the 7 warlords of the sea. Unless Blackbeard finds Pluton, Poseidon or Uranus. But given Blackbeard's current situation, the probability of finding these ancient weapons might be even lower than directly finding Raftel's location. So the secret is most likely that Ace's biological father is Roger from One Piece. As long as Marine knows about this, Sengoku will most likely choose to execute Ace in public. By then, the war at the top will be inevitable, just as Su Chen was thinking. Akainu snorted. Why make a deal with a defector? Why not just arrest them and torture them? Anyway, they're just a bunch of pests that harm civilians. It would be better for the entire ocean if they died. Aokiji remained silent. Kizaru was picking his ears nonchalantly. Neither of them intended to express any opinions. At this time, Zhang Guo looked at Su Chen. Su Chen, this is your first time attending a meeting like this. Plus, you almost captured Blackbeard and his men on Bonero Island before, so I want to hear your thoughts. Zhang Guo's words brought Su Chen back to his senses from his thoughts. He weighed it slightly, said to Zhang Guo, "Let's do as you think, Fleet Admiral Sengoku. Although I had a brief encounter with Blackbeard, I don't know him very well." Su Chen decided not to get involved in this matter. Although he could have told Sengoku right now that Ace's biological father was Gold D. Roger, the One Piece that ushered in a new era of pirates. But this will not only cause trouble, but may also affect the direction of the original plot. Su Chen felt that there would be a war next. The system will definitely issue corresponding check-in tasks. All you need to do before that is to continuously improve your strength and try not to change the original plot as much as possible. Finally, get the chance to sign in as soon as possible to upgrade the system level and gain the ability to return to the original world earlier. Zhang Guo nodded. In that case, we have finished talking about the first thing. The second most important thing is why I called you here today. According to a report from a secret informant, Don Quixote Doflamingo, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, has successfully developed an artificial devil fruit. And recently, the Beast's pirates, one of the 4 emperors, will make a deal with Mingo. The amount of the transaction was extremely large. If this batch of artificial devil fruits were to leak out, it would cause considerable turmoil in the world situation. In short, we at Marine need to nip any instability in the bud. The world government has already issued an order to us, requiring us to stop the transaction between the Beast's pirates and Mingo. And the world government specifically requested that this matter not be handled with the use of force. If possible, it would be best to destroy Ming's artificial devil fruit factory directly. But I know that this is almost impossible to do without using force against Mingo and Kaido's forces. So, just focus on preventing both parties from trading. Everyone, is there anyone who would like to volunteer to take on this task? I heard what the warring states said. Everyone present had a serious look on their faces. This is a rather tricky question. Ming is a Shichibukai, but he also has the identity of a former celestial dragon. This alone is difficult to deal with, plus, the people who traded with Brother Ming. He is one of the 4 emperors and a member of the Beast's pirates. Stopping the transaction would undoubtedly offend Kaido. The most important thing is that the world government actually considers the overall situation. The use of force is prohibited. This is definitely a very hot-button question. That's when it happened. Su Chen showed a confident smile. He said to Zhang Guo, "I'll take this job." Chapter 65 Red Hair appears and pushes into the city. To rescue Golden Lion? Marine is facing a formidable enemy. I heard that Su Chen actually volunteered to take on this task. Everyone present was very surprised. After all, this mission is extremely difficult. Faced with the Beast's pirates and the former celestial dragon Flamenco, not only can they not be stopped from trading artificial devil fruits, but they cannot even use force. The other 3 generals present, they all feel powerless. Doflamingo and his men from the Beast's pirates, Akainu, Aokiji and Kizaru are both clear about their personalities. Mingo is moody, and the several natural disasters of the Beast's pirates are even more overbearing. If we don't use force, are we trying to reason with them? Just imagining it in their minds, they shook their heads. Especially Akainu. At this moment, it is impossible to use force to threaten Mingo and the Beast's pirates. He was very annoyed. "Boy Su Chen, are you sure you want to take on this mission? I'm afraid this mission is more difficult than you think." Zhang Guo advised kindly. He believed that Su Chen took on this task not only because he was motivated to make great efforts upon taking office. "And I want to go to sea. If it was any other ordinary task, Zhongguo would have let Su Chen do it. After all, no matter how big the mess was, Zhongguo was confident that he could help Su Chen clean it up. But this mission is different now. One is the former celestial dragon Mingo, and the other is the beast's pirates. Given the identities of these two guys, if you offend them rashly, there will be serious consequences. It's okay, Sengoku Fleet Admiral. I am confident that I can accomplish this task. Su Chen's eyes were full of confidence. The system sign-in is in Dressrosa. Now Sengoku says he will go to Mingo's territory to stop the artificial devil fruit trade. Isn't this like sending a pillow when you feel sleepy? Anyway, for Su Chen today, even if he cannot complete this task, he also planned to use this opportunity to go to Dressrosa. As for what the warring states said, force cannot be used to prevent the two parties from trading. Regarding Su Chen, who originally did not go to Mary Joa to sign in for the third time, it's still a bit difficult, and now, heart-taking, Sage Art Echo is now available. Is there any possibility that this mission cannot be accomplished? After all, there's the world government and those bastards of the celestial dragons. That means no use of force. It doesn't say that they can't attack each other. You cannot self-harm in public. This was almost no difficulty for Su Chen. I heard that Su Chen was determined to take on this task. Zhongguo stopped trying to dissuade him. It was decided to let Su Chen be fully responsible for this task. Aside, Akainu frowned slightly. Su Chen, are you sure you can handle this alone? If you are not 100% sure, you can wait for me for 2 days. After I complete the task at hand, I can go to Dressrosa with you. At this time, the Den Den Mushi next to Sengoku Fleet Admiral suddenly rang. He answered the call without hesitation. This Den Den Mushi is private. If there is no important news, you are not qualified to make this call to report. What? The red hair pirates appeared in the calm sea area near Impel Down. How did they get over the iron wall? Sengoku Fleet Admiral's eyes narrowed. The recent 4 emperors at sea are a bit too active. First, Whitebeard appeared on Bonero Island, and then Kaido, the king of beasts, traded with Mingo for artificial devil fruits. Now, Shanks has also taken action. What conspiracy do these guys have? As a wise general, Fleet Admiral Sengoku did not believe that the 4 emperors, who had not taken any action for such a long time, would suddenly take action together in such a short period of time. There won't be any conspiracy. Red-haired Shanks, one of the 4 great emperors of the sea. His fighting ability is not inferior to Whitebeard and Kaido. How could a guy of this level sneak into the sea near Push City without making any noise? Is he trying to break out of prison? If it was for a prison break, who was it for? Golden Lion, or the expelled fishman Jinbei? Sengoku Fleet Admiral didn't immediately think about Fire Fist Ace, who had just been imprisoned in Impel Down prison. After all, at this moment, he still doesn't know that Ace is Roger's son. But anyway, as the Supreme Commander of Marine, Sengoku must take corresponding countermeasures immediately. Akainu, you may not have the chance to go to Dressrosa with Su Chen. The red hair pirates have already appeared in the sea near Impel Down. It is very likely that they are here to break into the prison. Akainu Kizaru Aokiji, recently, I need you to take turns guarding Impel Down to prevent red hair from doing anything out of line. I will temporarily hand over the supreme control of the entire Push City to you. I will communicate with Magellan. Akainu heard that there was no chance to travel with Su Chen. A little unhappy, but we heard that red hair appeared near Impel Down and might be planning a prison break. His expression also became somewhat solemn. After all, red hair is no joke. It is one of the existences standing at the top of the ocean. A great pirate with a bounty of over 4 billion berries. If red hair really intends to break into the prison and advance into the city, it will be impossible to handle it without sending out powerful generals. Kizaru heard that he had to go to Advance Castle to stand guard. I couldn't help but complain. That's really annoying. I have to go on another business trip to Impel Down. This is something outside of work. I'm asking for an increase in my annual leave this year. Aokiji put his hands to his chin, said seriously. Fleet Admiral, I think we may need to send 2 generals to Impel Down at the same time. After all, we have lost the whereabouts of the Whitebeard pirates. Now that the Fire Fist Ace has been captured, will the Whitebeard pirates follow red hair and break into Impel Down in the chaos? If a general is stationed in the city to push forward, it is very likely that he will be delayed and there will be irreversible consequences. Zhongguo nodded. I totally agree with what Aokiji said. He and Whitebeard have been rivals for many years. Sengoku knew that Whitebeard was a guy who would do anything for his family, if red hair really planned to break into Impel Down. As long as Whitebeard has the chance, he will definitely work together. Aokiji, your overall view is very good, and you are becoming more and more like a fleet admiral. Just do as you say. Thank you for your hard work during this period. I will grant you 3 times the annual leave. I heard that the annual leave has tripled. Only then did Kizaru nod in satisfaction. Even Aokiji said that 2 people were on duty at the same time to guard the Impel Down castle. No objections were raised. Right now, only Su Chen frowned. Red-haired Shanks? Why did he appear near Impel Down at this time? It is obvious that Sengoku has not had any substantive communication with Blackbeard yet. The secret of Ace's biological father should not be exposed yet. Could it be that it's the same as Kobe becoming Garp's apprentice ahead of time? Because of my own time travel, the butterfly effect of time and space was caused. Chapter 66. Brother Ming. Su Chen. Just a dog of the celestial dragons. Dressrosa Kingdom. In the room, the man was wearing a strange furry outfit. He looked at the Den Den Mushi in front of him. There was an explosion of exaggerated laughter. Foo 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 foo. Mr. Marine, what are you talking about? I am Don Quixote Doflamingo, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, and I work for the world government. Why would they trade with Kaido, one of the 4 emperors? Don't forget, I am still the king of Dressrosa. As the king of a country, you are a role model for everyone. I won't do anything illegal or criminal. I'm very busy right now. If you don't have anything else to do, I'll hang up. Foo 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 foo. The man who made the call was Don Quixote Doflamingo. This former celestial dragon is now one of the 7 warlords of the sea. The owner of the string fruit. Now he received a call from Marine. Demand that he be banned from trading with the beast's pirates. Brother Ming simply chose to pretend that he didn't understand. What artificial devil fruit, what trade with the beast's pirates? Never heard of it, don't wrongly accuse good people. Anyway, he was once a celestial dragon, and he also knew the secret of the celestial dragon's national treasure. It's not just Marine who is afraid of Mingo's identity. The celestial dragons also don't dare to go too far with Ming Jie. So at this moment, Brother Ming didn't care at all that Marine called him to warn him. After Brother Ming hung up the phone rudely, aside. Ming's deputy, Diamante looks like a sunflower. Said with some concern, young master, is this really okay? Should we postpone the transaction between us and Drought Jack and the others for a while? Didn't the 4th Marine General just appear 2 days ago? I wonder if the new official, who has just taken office, will take this opportunity to attack us and establish his authority over the entire ocean. Diamante watched the entire ceremony of Su Chen being awarded the title of general. There was such a young and powerful general in the Marine, who was even able to block the attack of the warring states with one move. Diamante is very worried that the future transaction with the beast's pirates will be hindered by Marine. He thought it would be best to stay out of the spotlight. Delay the transaction with the beast's pirates for 2 days. Or maybe you should not put the fruits of the transaction in the open so that Marine spies can't find out. The problem will naturally be solved. After hearing this, Brother Ming burst into laughter. Foo 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 foo. Diamante, are you out of your mind? Why do you say that? Marine didn't use a commanding tone when he called me just now. And you used a negotiating tone? Brother Ming stood up and opened his arms arrogantly. He didn't even give Diamante a chance to answer. Instead, he continued. Because they are afraid of me. Even if I really make a deal with Kaido, what will happen? All 4 Marine admirals are dispatched, including Garp and Sengoku. Even if I hand over my head, will they dare to touch me? Foo 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 foo. Ming didn't care about Marine's warning. And he had no intention of taking Diamante's advice. He planned to trade the artificial devil fruit normally according to the time agreed with Kaido. After all, he knew it clearly. Even if he and Kaido, the king of beasts, were trading openly in the Marine headquarters. Marine and the others didn't dare to move themselves. And Kaido, one of the 4 emperors, it is also one of Ming's reliance. After all, Kaido is considered the strongest being in the world along with Whitebeard. One is the strongest man in the world, and the other is the strongest creature in the world. Even if Kaido himself wanted to die, he would go to the Marine headquarters alone. I don't think anyone can kill him, if Marine offends this kind of monster. Can they bear it? If Kaido is really angered, just go to the Marine headquarters and cause trouble. Let's see if the world government can accept this consequence. So no matter from which aspect, Brother Ming didn't believe it at all. The world government and Marine will really stop us from trading with the beast's pirates. At most, I can just pretend to stop myself. Don't let Marine and world government lose face. As for the new 4th Admiral of the Marine you mentioned, this little brat has some strength in him. If you meet him at sea later, remember not to provoke him. Even if he is the dog of the celestial dragons, he only wags his tail to them. If he catches you when you're out, you'll get bitten. Marine doesn't dare to touch me, but they're very happy to kill you as a warning to others. Ming changed the subject here and warned Diamante. Don't mess with Su Chen. After all, when Su Chen became the 4th Admiral of Marine, Brother Ming has already asked the intelligence department to investigate Su Chen thoroughly. Of course he knew it, it was on Bonero Island. There was a conflict between Su Chen and Whitebeard. The 2 sides fought, and there was no winner. A guy with such a record is indeed very powerful and should not be underestimated. If Diamante provokes Su Chen while he is out, it will be difficult to deal with. Understood, young master. I will not leave the kingdom of Dressrosa for some time, please rest assured. So, let's continue the transaction with the beast's pirates according to the originally agreed time, right? Diamante confirmed that the transaction went according to plan. Then he retreated. Doflamingo was the only one left in the room. Brother Ming sat back on the throne that belonged to him. He crossed his legs, looking very arrogant. He took out a photo from the pocket of his furry clothes. This is a photo of a person lying on a hospital bed. This man was so skinny that he looked like a skeleton. A lot of white spots appeared on the skin. His whole body was filled with various tubes. The quilt covered the lower half of the man's body. However, it can still be seen that the person lying on the hospital bed has no legs. Seeing this, a flamboyant smile appeared on Ming's lips. The face of the person in the photo was reflected in his sunglasses. It was Su Chen. Su Chen, who hasn't traveled through time yet. You know, Su Chen had been receiving treatment at the Marine headquarters. Being able to take a photo like this can only mean one thing. Even the Marine headquarters were infiltrated by Mingo's pawns. Albino. Like Luo, he's a kid from the white town of North Blue. It's really interesting. How did he survive? Without the surgery fruit, I was able to recover my legs. Interesting, very interesting. This little devil has a big secret. It really excites me. Foo 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 foo. Throughout the room, Ming's laughter resounded. Chapter 67. Momosagi sticks to Su Chen, and Chatten breaks down his defense. How can Su Chen be better than him? The sky is sunny and windy. The sun is high in the sky. Very dazzling. On the vast ocean, a marine warship is sailing. It was the marine warship that Su Chen was on. The current distance to the mission's target, the kingdom of Dressrosa. The driving time is less than an hour. Inside the cabin, the fat and greasy Chaton Kaji knelt on one knee. Holding a rose in hand, made a proposal gesture. Oh, my dear Miss Momosagi, this time, please accept my love. You and First are both Marine Admiral candidates. It's perfect for us to join forces. Please don't resist your heart, accept my confession, and formally walk into the palace of marriage with me. When this mission is over, you and I will get married and have 7 or 8 big fat boys. There was a strong bubbling sound in Chaton Kaji's voice. His eyes were full of confidence. In Chaton Kaji's heart, Momosagi Gion had already been his woman. It's just because I'm shy that I haven't dared to say it out loud. He believed that this elaborate confession would surely give Momosagi the courage to accept his confession. As for Su Chen, Chaton Kaji never regarded Su Chen as his competitor. Although Su Chen has been promoted to Marine General as an exception, his rank is higher than that of him, the general candidate. After all, a man's charm is accumulated over time. Su Chen is just a little kid who is still wet behind the ears. Su Chen has become so close to Momosagi recently because of Lieutenant General Suru. Chaton Kaji thought so in his heart, while throwing a wink to Momosagi. As soon as this posture appeared, it instantly caused quite a commotion in the cabin. Momosagi Gion saw Chaton Cake confessing his love to her. There was no change in his expression. I even felt like vomiting because of Chaton's seductive eyes. That beautiful face is like an iceberg. Momosagi Gion just looked coldly at Chaton Cake, who was blocking his way. After a long while, he slowly spoke. Get out of the way. Oh, no, dear little Gion, if you agree to my confession, I will make way for you. Chaton held the rose in his hand in front of Momosagi. The meaning is also very clear. If Momosagi didn't agree to confess her love, he would just stand there and not let her pass. I heard Chaton's inhuman words. Momosagi Gion's beautiful big eyes narrowed slightly, and a smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. But that smile was obviously terrifyingly cold. If you don't move out of the way, you'll just be blocking the way, right? Then die here for me. After Momosagi said this, he stepped on Chaton's head. There was a loud bang. Chaton Kaji sank into the floor of the cabin. You know, Momosagi is still wearing 7 to 8 centimeters high heels. The heel of the shoe pierced into Chaton Kaji's forehead like a nail. But Momosagi doesn't care about Chaton's life or death. He directly pulled the heel of the high-heeled shoe out from Chaton Kaji's forehead. Suddenly, blood gushed out of his head like a fountain. After doing all this, Momosagi left the cabin as if she had seen nothing. Walked towards the deck. A group of onlookers were left watching, staring at each other. Momosagi walked through the corridor and came to the deck of the warship. As soon as I hit the gate of opening, I felt a salty sea breeze blowing across my cheeks. Right at the front of the deck, a young man wearing a marine justice cape is leaning against the fence. Look into the distance. This guy is actually the handsome guy who is only slightly less handsome than all of you handsome men and readers. Su Chen. Momosagi saw Su Chen's back not far away. There was a glimmer of joy in his eyes. Under the long eyelashes, the beautiful big eyes blinked. She quickly came to Su Chen's side and leaned on the fence as well. Momosagi lifted her hair at the temples, and she looked like a little woman. It was completely different from the domineering feeling he had just displayed in front of Chaton Kaji. The calm aura coming from Su Chen made Momosagi feel a little depressed. It's like the feeling of being tipsy after drinking alcohol. At this moment, the two seemed to have a tacit understanding. Momosagi Gion did not speak actively, and Su Chen just looked into the distance quietly. The background is the endless sea, and the protagonists are a beautiful girl and a handsome young man. This scene is like the most beautiful painting. It's at this time. Chadon Kaji hurriedly trotted out of the cabin. His clothes were ragged. In her hand she still held the crooked rose. See this scene. Chitonkaji's pupils suddenly shrank. The whole person couldn't help but take a breath. The rose in her hand also fell to the ground. Little Gion. How could it be? How so? Chadon Kaji talked to himself, his voice trembling. He tried hard to purse his lips, fearing that tears would fall from the corners of his eyes. Just now Momosagi was so angry with herself, but now, she stayed beside Su Chen like a little woman. This is not what Chitonkaji can't stand, but at this time, Momosagi Gion actually moved her body closer to Su Chen intentionally or unintentionally. It's just such a small action. Chadon Kaji's defense is broken. He was really broken at this moment. Tears and snot appeared all over his face. With a wow, he burst into tears, but because of the howling sea breeze. No one heard Chadon's cry, a tea-pig that doesn't want to be fed dog food anymore. He simply turned around and ran away. No matter how vicious the pirates were when he fought against them, Chadon never chose to run away. But this time, he turned around and ran away without any hesitation. Only at this moment did Chadon truly realize it. Momosagi, the person I have always pursued, is the one in my heart. It was never him. It was this young boy in his 20s who was still wet behind the ears. Su Chen. And it seems that at this moment, Su Chen still doesn't know what Momosagi means. Chadon Kaji feels like a pitiful clown now. Like a beggar under the overpass, a rat in the gutter. Feeling sad and angry, Chadon Kaji gritted his teeth and couldn't help but clench his fists. At this moment, Chadon and Su Chen had only met a few times. But his hatred towards Su Chen has reached its peak. Compared to those pirates, the current Chadon hates Su Chen more. Why? How can this guy Su Chen win Momosagi's heart? Except that his military rank is higher than mine. Taller than me. Weighs less than yourself. Maybe he's a little stronger than me. Is there anything better than yourself? Chapter 68 The Beast Pirate Ship docks. Droudjack appears. The transaction officially begins. It has not yet landed in the kingdom of Dressrosa. Did not enter Ming's territory. Neither Momosagi nor Su Chen activated their observation hockey to investigate. So they didn't notice that Chadon Kaji had broken through the defense and escaped. Now on this marine warship, there are probably dozens of people. But most of them are ordinary small-time sailors used to operate warships. A real combatant dispatched from the marine headquarters. There were only 3 people, Su Chen, Momosagi, and Chadon Cake. Originally, Su Chen said that with Momosagi, 2 people would be enough. But the Warring States Fleet Admiral believed that this was Su Chen's first mission. Still can't take it lightly. This is why another strong man at the level of Quasi-General was sent out. Lieutenant General Chitonkaji. Cooperate with Su Chen to carry out the mission of Dressrosa to stop Ming's transaction. As a candidate for general, of course, Chadon's strength can be guaranteed. However, before Su Chen traveled to the pirate world, the old thief Oda had never let Chadon take action. So Su Chen didn't know how strong Lieutenant General Chadon was. However, this time the mission requires that no force is allowed. So Su Chen thought about Chatunjiaji. It serves as a mascot, just watching from the side and not causing any trouble. Brother Su Chen, are you sure about the mission given by Fleet Admiral this time? Momosagi Gion broke the tranquility. He took the initiative to ask Su Chen. No matter how much he deserves a beating, Brother Ming cannot do anything to him. This time, the deal was made with Jack the Drought, one of the 3 major disasters under Kaido's pirate group. It's all a big trouble. I want to stop the transaction between them without using force. Anyway, Momosagi racked his brains during the days of sailing but couldn't come up with a solution. In her opinion, the probability of successfully completing the mission this time is infinitely close to 0. Su Chen nodded. His expression remained unchanged, looking calmly into the distance. Don't worry, Momosagi sister. I don't do anything I'm not sure of. You and Lieutenant General Chadon will just watch from my side. When Momosagi heard Su Chen say the word, Chadon, her eyebrows slightly frowned. A look of disgust appeared on her pretty face. Don't even mention this unlucky greasy fat pig. Just hearing his name makes me feel sick. Don't talk about him, Brother Su Chen. Look, we are almost at our destination. Following Momosagi's words, Su Chen looked into the distance. At the end of the horizon, the outline of Dressrosa is already looming. Dressrosa. Dockport. A majestic pirate ship quickly docked. On the flag, 4 bones are inserted into a skull. This is the emblem of the beast's pirates. Fortunately, the dock had already been cleared by the Don Quixote family in advance. Otherwise, if the public or tourists saw the flag, I'm afraid he would be scared to death on the spot. Not because of anything else, but because of the leader of the beast's pirates. It is known as the most powerful creature in the world. A terrifying pirate with a bounty of 4.6111 billion berries. Kaido, one of the 4 emperors, is now, and saw the pirate ship approaching. The presence on the deck was also seen by everyone. It is one of the 3 disasters under Kaido's pirate group. Droudjack. It was 8 meters tall, with 2 huge mammoth tusks sticking out from its back. Just looking at it like this makes me feel suffocated. The pier shore. The Don Quixote family had been waiting here for a long time. The leader was the king of Dressrosa, Doflamingo, one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Ming Jie, who completely disregards the marine and world government, now comes in person to greet Droudjack. This is enough to show how much importance Ming attaches to this transaction. Next to Mingo, Diamante looked at Droudjack on the deck. I couldn't help but sigh. Tisk, 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 is this a powerful person at the level of the Vice-Emperor? Or is this actually the effect of the devil fruit he ate? I haven't even gotten close yet, and the pressure is so overwhelming that I can't breathe. Torpal gave Diamante a cold look. The bounty is already 1 billion Baileys. The total bounty between you and me is less than 200 million. Here's a little-known fact for you. Droudjack is only 28 years old this year. He is only a few years older than Marine's new 4th general, Su Chen. The two were discussing something secretly. The beast's pirate ship has already docked. I saw Brother Ming take a step forward, said to Droudjack on the deck. Foo 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 foo. Isn't this Droudjack? Welcome to our kingdom of Dressrosa? Would you like to experience the love and passion that is characteristic of our kingdom? Ming opened his arms as if embracing the whole world. On his face, there was still that arrogant smile. It seems like he doesn't take anyone seriously. Droudjack suddenly jumped from the deck and came in front of Ming and his men. The entire bow of the beast's pirate ship. It was all because of the huge reaction force generated by Jack's jump that he suddenly sank down. A huge splash of water, not interested, Droudjack looked around. The promised large number of artificial devil fruits were not seen. Suddenly his voice was mixed with anger. Where is the batch of goods that you asked for, sir? Where? You're not going to play tricks on us. Droudjack simply pulled out a huge sickle from behind. This is his weapon. Almost at the moment when the words fell, a strong murderous intent enveloped Don Quixote and the others present. Many people felt this terrifying murderous intent. They all took several steps back uncontrollably. Only Brother Ming was still standing there, with the arrogant smile on his face unchanged. What's the hurry, Jack? We have already prepared the goods you want. It's just that the artificial devil fruit is too valuable. We definitely can't leave it by the dock. You came all the way here, and I wanted to show my hospitality. But since you are so eager to get the goods, let's put aside these exciting activities for now. Come with me to the factory to get the goods. Droudjack heard what Ming said. This is what it means to put away the sickle. Well, I hope you didn't lie to me. If you deceive me, I will make you pay dearly. Seeing this, Brother Ming didn't say much. He planned to take Droudjack directly to the smile factory that produced artificial devil fruits. But at this moment, far away, there were several footsteps. Walking quickly towards Brother Ming and his group. Judging from the footsteps, there are 3 people coming. There are high heels, clogs, and ordinary canvas shoes. He has cleared this area. No one can enter without his Brother Ming's permission. Who is it? Ming Ji's brows furrowed suddenly, and there was obviously a hint of hostility in his voice. Chapter 69 Brother Ming's comment on Su Chen. A waste of fun. The Don Quixote family, and Droudjack, following Ming Ji's gaze. It was on the road they had to take to leave the dock port. 3 figures appeared. It was Su Chen and the other 2. At this moment, they are all wearing Marine's cloak of justice. There is no need to introduce the identity in detail. Marine? Brother Ming, what do you mean? Droudjack's eyes narrowed slightly. He looked at Brother Ming beside him. Although Droudjack acts rashly, he is never a fool. The Marine people were able to show up so punctually when they were doing business. It was obvious that someone had leaked the information to Marine. The one who leaked the information was naturally not their beast's pirates, so it could only be someone from the Don Quixote family. Brother Ming, didn't you say that you didn't trade devil fruits with Kaido's people? Now we have finally caught you in the act. Do you still have any excuses? Momoshagi Gion looked at Droudjack and Ming and the others. He spoke first. Foo 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 foo. You are such a joker, Miss Marine. I didn't expect that your people are already here not long after I received the call from your Marine. You said I made a deal with the beast's pirates, but what did we trade? I just gave Jack a warm welcome. It's not a big mistake. After Ming Jie saw the 3 people in front of him, he laughed arrogantly. Didn't you find this Marine chick? Droudjack was obviously surprised when he heard what Ming said. Of course not. I hope to have more transactions with Kaido. Let's go. Ignore these guys. Our transaction will proceed as usual. Ming Jie turned around and said to Jack. He did not avoid this sentence. Naturally, it reached the ears of Su Chen and the other 2. Suddenly, Momosagi's eyebrows stood up. Brother Ming just said that he had not made any transaction with Jack the Drought, but he turned around and told Jack the Drought that the transaction would proceed as usual. Isn't this just teasing them? Arrogant, it's really too arrogant? Brother Ming didn't take them seriously at all. Momosagi directly pulled out her kumpira from her waist. He directly pointed the knife at Brother Ming and his men. Brother Ming, you should know what world government means. Draw a line with Droudjack right now and cancel this deal. Otherwise, what else? Are you going to attack me? You want to arrest me and throw me into Impel Down for colluding with the four emperors? Still, Ms. Vice Admiral Marine, you are impartial and upright. Are you planning to execute me here? Ming tilted his head and looked at Momosagi defenselessly. He even took another step forward in direct provocation. It was obvious that Ming Jie hit Momosagi Gion in a sore spot. This time, Zhang Guo made a clear request. It is absolutely not possible to use force against Mingo and Kaido's people. Once violence is used, the consequences will be immeasurable. Let's go, girl. I'm in a good mood today and don't want to argue with you. Leave now and I can pretend nothing happened. I don't care how you want to report to the higher-ups. After saying that, Ming planned to ignore Momosagi and move forward with Droutjack. He was wearing sunglasses, but Momosagi still saw a provocative look on Ming's face. Momosagi was anxious, but she had no way to deal with Ming. She quickly looked at Su Chen beside her. He gave him a look seeking help. However, Su Chen did not respond to Momosagi's gaze at all. Just looked straight at the scenery on the side. In the eyes of Don Quixote and his men, it was like they were afraid to look at each other, just like they were afraid of Mingo and Jack the Drought. Brother Ming also looked at Su Chen with interest. He showed a playful smile. Su Chen is indeed very powerful. But the current situation, there is absolutely no way the marine side would attack him. Even a fool knows that if Jack attacks himself, drought will happen. What terrible consequences will occur on this sea? He was very curious about this young general who was full of secrets. How to deal with the current situation, but Su Chen still looked into the distance. There was no other action at all. This made Chadon Kaji beside Su Chen anxious. His beloved goddess was now in a state of turmoil and could not get off the stage. Why didn't this damn guy Su Chen come out to save the situation? This is a great opportunity to be a hero and save the beauty. Damn. Chadon was as anxious as an ant on hot pan. But at this moment, he didn't know how to resolve the current situation. Let Ming go. If Marine just watched Mingo and Kaido make a deal, it would not allow the conflict to escalate, but it would undoubtedly humiliate Marine. But if we don't let Ming leave, what method can we use to prevent the two parties from continuing the transaction? Su Chen, didn't you tell Fleet Admiral that you could handle this? Why are you pretending to be dead now? If you can't solve it, why did you come all the way here? Why are you pretending to be so high and mighty? You are going to bring shame to our Marine now. Seeing that Su Chen still had no reaction, Chadon was extremely angry. He was already angry. Before, I saw Momosagi actively sticking to Su Chen, and now I have to watch Marine lose face. He started to curse Su Chen directly. Tisk, tisk, tisk. It's really interesting, this is an internal conflict. Boy, why don't you speak? Are you going to keep pretending to be dumb? Ming took another step forward. He came directly in front of Su Chen. He just tilted his head and looked at Su Chen provocatively. He seemed to be looking forward to seeing Su Chen's angry look. Better to punch yourself again. This way, we can also bring down the beast's pirates. The situation at sea will definitely be a mess by then. I just wonder what kind of expression the Sengoku Fleet Admiral will have when he sees this scene. But even if Brother Ming provoked him like this, Su Chen didn't react at all. It's like I really can't hear any sound and can't speak. Suddenly, Brother Ming lost interest. His face turned cold instantly. The way he looked at Su Chen was as if he was looking at garbage. You don't even have any reaction to this. You're such a spoilsport. Ming snorted coldly. He was about to walk straight past Su Chen and his group. Continue to take Droutjack to the factory for the transaction. But at this moment, in Su Chen's eyes, a look of delight flashed across his face. Found it. Chapter 70. Brother Ming. Take control of my body. Show off your sword in front of Guangong. Oh, what did you find? Brother Ming saw that Su Chen finally took action. He tilted his head. He looked at Su Chen's position again in confusion. And Su Chen at this time, he turned his head, he looked straight at Brother Ming in front of him. The moment their eyes met, this is what Brother Ming discovered. This is the 4th Marine Admiral named Su Chen. Where is the slightest trace of fear and awe in his eyes? The way he looks at himself is like looking at an empty Coke bottle thrown on the side of the road. This guy is not afraid of me at all. So what on earth was he doing just now? I found your underground kingdom, Joker. Su Chen's expression was calm. There was still a faint smile on the corner of his mouth. From the moment Su Chen landed in Dressrosa, he used the observation hockey. Explore throughout this entire kingdom. The target of the search was naturally the location of the 4th check-in. Artificial Devil Fruit Factory. Su Chen, who has read the original story of One Piece, the Punk Assad and Dressrosa chapters. All we know is that the Smile Factory is located in Ming's underground kingdom. But where is this underground kingdom? There is no detailed explanation in the original plot. Originally Su Chen thought that he just needed to enter the territory of the kingdom of Dressrosa. Then the system will be the same as before. A small map of the target location will appear directly. Get yourself directly to the check-in, but I didn't expect it. The territory of the Dressrosa kingdom is quite large. The system informed Su Chen, must be within 5 kilometers. Only then will the system generate a small map for Su Chen. There was no other way. Su Chen could only use his observation hockey to start a carpet search. Su Chen's observation hockey is not as abnormal as break all laws. The radius is more than 10 kilometers at once. The range covered by the observation hockey is not enough for Su Chen to find the factory in a short time. So Su Chen secretly logged into Brother Ming's territory. It is the location that has been exploring the underground kingdom. Even Brother Ming's provocation to Su Chen just now. Su Chen didn't care at all. After all, Ming Ji's current strength is definitely not as good as the 4 emperors at sea. The words that echo with heart-stealing, sage art. It would only take a few minutes to get rid of that little brat Ming Ji. This man is known as the Joker of the underground world. In front of Su Chen, he was indeed a clown, just now. Su Chen finally discovered the location of the Dressrosa underground world. Although the exact location of Smile's artificial devil fruit factory is still unclear. But I guess the distance shouldn't be too far. Explore a little bit in the underground world. This should be the prerequisite for the system to open the mini-map. Get within 5 kilometers of the target, if you really can't find the factory. In fact, Su Chen has a backup plan. The solution is the man in front of you. Donkey de Doflamingo, one of the Shichibukai. What did you say? Ming Ji doesn't like being called out the codename of the underworld in public. He took a sharp step back. The eyes beneath the sunglasses revealed a strong murderous intent. But suddenly, Brother Ming seemed to have thought of something. He suddenly burst into laughter. Foo 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 foo. I almost fell for your trick, kid. Your acting is really good. I almost thought my factory was going to be exposed. It's just that they found my underground kingdom, so what? Are you trying to use force to threaten me to terminate the deal with Mr. Jack? Su Chen shook his head. That's not necessary. Before coming to Dressrosa, Fleet Admiral specifically told me not to fight you and the Beast's pirates. This mission begins when you hear the first word I say. It's done. Huh, you finished it as soon as I heard your first sentence? Su Chenu closed his eyes. There was a flash of light that was almost imperceptible. Su Chen, are you planning to trick me like this? Foo 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 foo. Hey. Ming laughed out loud. It's only half funny. Brother Ming suddenly couldn't laugh anymore. The sound is like old phlegm stuck in the throat. No matter how hard Ming Ji tried, he couldn't continue speaking. What's going on? Ming was shocked. He didn't understand what was happening at that moment. Why can't I continue talking? But Ming didn't give it much time to think about it. Something even more shocking happened to him. His body began to move uncontrollably. It's just like he uses the skill, parasitic thread, of the thread fruit to control others. I am being controlled. I felt my body being controlled like a puppet. Brother Ming, who was familiar with this feeling, reacted instantly. Su Chen controlled himself. Think this through. Although Ming's body was unable to move, he had already started laughing wildly in his heart. After all, this is his specialty, normally in the kingdom of Dressrosa. Ming often uses the string fruit to control those who disobey his will. This wave of controlling oneself is like showing off one's skills in front of Guangdong. Su Chen also said that he was a clown. He is the most clown one. How to release this control over the body? Ming knew very well that it was nothing more than using some kind of fruit ability. As long as you use your domineering power, you can easily break it. Regain control of your body. Whatever he thinks in his mind, Ming Ji will do it immediately. 3 colors of domineering energy gathered from his body and were about to burst out from his body in an instant. Break through Su Chen's control, he could already imagine it. When he exposed Su Chen's little trick in public, the expressions of everyone present change. Just thinking about it like this makes Ming Ji feel refreshed. This is the most classic part of pretending to be awesome. Foo 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 foo. But, several seconds passed. It was beyond Ming's expectation. Nothing happened. Not to mention using hockey to break through the fruit ability, even letting hockey condense from the body. Such a simple thing is impossible to do. There's no way for me to regain control of my body. This thought appeared in Ming's mind. A bone-chilling chill at this moment. From the soles of his feet straight up to the top of his head. The sun is shining brightly now. He was still wearing a leather jacket covered in feathers. But Ming Ji felt like he was falling into an icy cave. Brother Ming, what are you standing there for? Didn't I say to ignore these marines? Take me to get the goods quickly. Droutjack looked at Ming Ji in front of him motionlessly. Feeling irritated, he urged. Young master, why are you standing still? Are you planning to give us a little surprise? Diamante scratched his sunflower head, also looking confused. Chatten and Momosagi also looked suspicious, don't know what exactly happened. Within the marine forces, except for Fleet Admiral Sengoku, some people speculated that Su Chen had new means of control. No one knows about Su Chen's new ability yet, just when everyone was puzzled. What on earth happened? Ming is moving, beyond everyone's expectations. Brother Ming was actually heading towards the direction of Jack the Drought, who was standing beside him. An attack was launched. Chapter 71. Brother Ming's right arm was cut off, and everyone looked down upon him. Now he is symmetrical with the red hair. Swish. Ming Jie stretched out sharp claws in his hands. He attacked directly towards Jack the Drought beside him. Ming suddenly attacks Drought Jack, this matter. Beyond everyone's expectations, because the distance between the two is really too close. In addition, Ming's speed was so fast that Drought Jack had no time to react. Even using armament hockey to defend is impossible. 3 10-centimeter deep wounds appeared directly on Drought Jack's abdomen. A large piece of flesh was torn off, blood immediately gushed out from Jack's wound. But Drought Jack is huge. Although this wound looks terrible, it is not fatal to him, the Shipping King. It just hurts. Feeling severe pain in the abdomen. Drought Jack roared suddenly. He looked at Brother Ming in anger and roared. Brother Ming, what are you doing? Why did you suddenly attack me? The people from Don Quixote's family saw this. He was even more confused. Young Master, what happened to your kidney? When Diamante saw Mingo attacking Jack the Drought, he subconsciously wanted to use the power of the float fruit to fight Jack the Drought together with Mingo. But he reacted instantly. That's not right. The young master and Drought Jack are in a cooperative relationship. Why the sudden fight? But Brother Ming did not give anyone any answer. He just dodged on the ground. He swung his claws again in the direction of Drought Jack. But this time, Drought Jack will not just sit there and watch Ming attack him. He took out a huge sickle from behind and attacked Ming directly. A fierce attack, this knife, but I didn't hold back. A huge force bursts out from Drought Jack's sickle. The faces of Don Quixote and the others present change. A pirate with a billion bounty, this strength is too terrifying. That's when it happened. Mingo saw the attack coming. The claw attack that was originally intended to attack Drought Jack stopped immediately. He did not continue the attack, no dodging, even gave up defense. Facing the Drought, Jack's knife, without any defense. The city gates are open, this time. Even Drought Jack couldn't figure it out. What on earth does this Ming mean? Why did he suddenly attack me, and why was he completely unprepared for my attack? You know, Ming is even one of the 7 warlords of the sea. That is also the case with the naked eye, unless you use the power of a devil fruit. Otherwise, he would have to face this attack of several thousand kilograms. If he doesn't die, he will be disabled, if Ming died. Then Mr. Kaido gave him his mission. Can the trading of artificial devil fruits continue? What if I fail to do this and get punished by the other 2 disasters? Suddenly, Drought Jack felt a little anxious. Forget it. Drought Jack thought about it again and finally made his choice. Give up thinking, since you can't stand the knife anymore. It would be better to kill Ming in a more beautiful way. The knife was originally aimed at Ming's body, turned directly to Ming's neck. Drought Jack is anxious. Why isn't Ming anxious? I'm about to burst into smoke. He frantically tried various methods to regain control of his body. But Ming Jie could only think of dozens of methods and tried them one by one. It's all useless. Ming was in despair. Damn Su Chen. How did you control your body? Why can't I get rid of the control? For the first time, Ming Jie felt the same as those controlled Dressrosa residents. He watched helplessly as the gates of his city opened. Heading towards Drought Jack's attack, if you still have control over your body. Ming believes in his own reaction and speed. He must be able to easily dodge Drought Jack's attacks. Or use the string fruit in hockey. There is absolutely no problem in taking this blow. But what if the city gates were wide open and we were facing this sword? Just thinking about it, Brother Ming couldn't help but shudder in his heart. Not to mention it turned into meat sauce, at least it was cut in half. I don't have Buggy the Clown splitting fruit, right now. A feeling of regret emerged in the heart of this former Tianlong who had always been high and mighty. How great it would be if I hadn't provoked Su Chen just now. How great it would be if we had listened to Diamante's advice and delayed or cancelled the deal with Kaido. Even if he offended the 4 emperors Kaido, but they are in Wano country. Far away in the horizon. Even if he wants to kill me, at least I still have the possibility of running away. But now, having offended Su Chen, he ended up dead. How could Ming not regret this? 2 lines of tears. At this moment, 2 lines of tears appeared from the corners of Ming's eyes under his sunglasses. Huh. Wrong. Why can I shed tears even though I can't even blink? I have regained control of my body. Suddenly he found that he had regained control of his body, and he was overjoyed. Right now, Drought Jack's sickle is almost approaching his neck. Although time is tight, Ming Jie believes that there is still time. At this critical moment, he used all his strength to activate the thread fruit in his body. The whole body will turn into silk threads. Escape from Drought Jack's attack. But what about silk thread? The threads did not emerge from his body. It's like Ming is not a devil fruit user. His connection with the devil fruit has been severed. Brother Ming didn't know what the situation was at the moment, but the crisis didn't allow him to think too much. Since the string fruit is not working, I will use my domineering power to withstand this attack. Let you see my super awesome 3-color domineering power. Damn, I'm domineering? Ming made a horrified discovery. His domineering attitude is gone. Just like the power of the devil fruit, disappear without a trace. At this moment, Brother Ming cursed out all the most vicious words he could imagine. Not being able to use the string fruit just now had already made Ming's entire body drenched in cold sweat. And now something unexpected happened again, huge blow. Ming felt a warmth in his crotch, it's a moist feeling. I peed my pants, but fortunately, Brother Ming is a man who has seen big scenes. In such a desperate situation today, he felt ruthless. The body forcibly changed direction. Let Drought Jack avoid the knife that was originally intended to chop his own head. Cut it on his shoulder, there was a hissing sound. A large amount of blood burst out from Ming's right shoulder. His entire right arm. They were all cut off by Drought Jack's knife. Shanks lost his left hand protecting Luffy, and now Ming Ji's right hand was cut off by Drought Jack. Now it's symmetrical. Ah, it hurts so much, it hurts so much. Su Chen, how dare you do this to me? I will never let you go. Ming has now regained control of his body, he lost his right arm. Misery fell to the ground, writhing like a maggot in a cesspool. He roared at Su Chen in pain. Everyone present heard Brother Ming calling out Su Chen's name. They all felt a sense of bewilderment, especially Momosagi and Shitankaji. His eyebrows suddenly raised and he looked at Brother Ming's eyes. Full of contempt. Didn't you take the initiative to fight against Drought Jack? Su Chen just stood there eating melons and did nothing. Everyone present could testify that Su Chen strictly followed the fleet admiral's requirements. No force was used against either side. Su Chen even planned it in advance and had Momosagi place a recording Den Mushi with imaging function on her shoulder. What kind of law enforcement camera is this? Everything that happened was recorded. Every wrong has its perpetrator and every debt has its creditor. But how to deal with these new and old grudges? It can't be blamed on Su Chen. Chapter 72 Brother Ming. Cooperating with marine operations is the duty of every citizen. Su Chen, do you know what you did? You actually did this to me. I won't let you go. I will remember the humiliation you brought upon me today. The entire marine will suffer the most painful consequences because of what you did. Brother Ming struggled to get up from the ground. His whole body was shaking, lost the fruit power and domineering power. Having his right arm cut off was definitely a heavy blow to Ming Jie today. He was gasping for breath, for Brother Ming at this moment. Say such cruel words to Su Chen, he had already used up all his strength. Su Chen pointed at the Den Mushi on Momosagi Gion's shoulder next to him. The whole process was recorded and videotaped. Even at the marine headquarters, there are now people dedicated to backing up the live video. Which eye of yours saw me using force against you? Weren't you the one who was going crazy and attacking Jack the Drought? Of course Su Chen would not kill Brother Ming. Later, Ming Jie played an important role in the original plot of One Piece. However, the missing limbs have little impact on the subsequent plot. As for whether it is one arm missing or two arms missing, it all depends on Su Chen's mood. Anyway, before Su Chen traveled through time, he hated Ming Jie, the guy who pretended to be a riddle teller. Of course, if you think it was me who did that to you just now, I did something unspeakable. You can just say it. Everyone present can testify for you. Ming sneered. He immediately prepared to tell Su Chen about how he controlled his body. But at this moment, Ming's pupils under his sunglasses suddenly shrank again. That familiar feeling comes back again. Control of the body is taken away again. I can't move my body anymore. I was able to recover my mobility just now. Didn't that mean Su Chen's ability time had expired? Damn it. Su Chen was making a fool of himself from the beginning to the end. Right now. Only then did Ming realize it. Now he and Su Chen are not at the same level of strength. Su Chen wanted to kill himself. It only takes a few minutes. It just depends on Su Chen's feelings. His method of controlling people is mysterious and unpredictable. There was no trace of Su Chen taking any action. Even if he controlled himself and committed suicide in public, I'm afraid no one would suspect Su Chen. This guy is so insidious. He actually asked the people accompanying him to record the entire process in audio and video and even broadcast it live. It is extremely difficult to prove that my body is controlled by Su Chen. Ming Jie felt a sense of powerlessness in his heart. When I lost my identity as a celestial dragon, I was bullied by ordinary people, but I felt powerless to resist. It appeared in Ming's mind again, he refused to accept. No one can control Doflamingo. The whites of Ming Jie's eyes were covered with red bloodshot. The empty right arm wound location. Blood was gushing out as if it was free. Ming Jie desperately wanted to take back control of his body. He wants to tell everyone. Su Chen took action, he represents the marine forces. On this sea, he offended a former celestial dragon. And there is also the beast pirates, one of the 4 emperors. He wants Su Chen to pay a heavy price. Brother Ming feels that he is terribly strong at this moment. No difficulty can stop him, but in the end, Ming did not break through the limitations of heart stealing. The body remained silent in the same place. Everyone present was silent when they saw Brother Ming. They all feel that. It must be Brother Ming who wants to frame Su Chen. Now that his lie has been exposed, Brother Ming is speechless about Su Chen's words. If you don't want to say it, forget it. We at Marine always act in accordance with the law and regulations. I'm not the kind of person who will take revenge for every little grievance. We are here this time to stop you from trading with the Beast's pirates. But the fleet admiral has personally instructed that we are not allowed to use force against you. Since I can't resort to violence, I can only communicate with you in a friendly manner. Brother Ming, are you willing to terminate this transaction with the Beast's pirates? Su Chen walked up to Brother Ming and asked gently. When Diamante saw Su Chen approaching Ming, he immediately drew the sword from his waist. Marine, you are not allowed to hurt our young master. Seeing this, Momosagi snorted coldly. Did Su Chen touch your young master's finger from beginning to end? Isn't it that your young master went crazy and attacked Droudjack, asking for trouble? Diamante didn't know what to say in response. After all, what Momosagi said is true and cannot be refuted. Don't worry, Diamante. I won't hurt Brother Ming. Everyone who knows me knows that I am the one who keeps my promises. Su Chen said to Diamante. At the same time, he released the control of Ming's body. Ah! Ming Jie thought he had successfully regained control of his body. He was ready to expose Su Chen's background on the spot. Su Chen, you are such a despicable person. The words have not been finished yet. Control of his body was taken away once again, just here. With a hissing sound, the blade of a giant sickle pierced through Ming's back. A knife stabbed into Brother Ming's kidney. It's Droudjack. The Don Quixote family saw that Jack the Drought was attacking their young master again. This time it was still a sneak attack. Everyone was immediately angry and decided to fight Jack the Drought to the death. But this time, Ming's mouth opened and closed stiffly. A mechanical sound came out of his mouth. Don't mess around. Everyone in the Don Quixote family was stunned. You had one hand chopped off and you were stabbed in the kidney by a surprise attack. Now you're telling us not to mess around? Making trouble? But after all, Brother Ming is their leader, even if they don't want to. He could only suppress the anger in his heart and stop attacking Droudjack. General Su Chen is right. He really didn't use force on any of us. He is a role model for Marines. I admire him very much. Cooperating with Marine operations is the duty of every citizen. I was not thoughtful enough in making this deal with the Beast's pirates. I now announce that I will cancel all cooperation with the Beast's pirates. I will not sell any of the artificial devil fruits I produced to anyone in the Beast's pirates. I heard that Ming Jie actually took the initiative to cancel the deal with the Beast's pirates. Everyone present was shocked. They looked at each other. No one expected the situation to change so quickly. Before, Brother Ming looked down on Su Chen and his group. Then he started fighting with Jack the Drought for no apparent reason. Now that he has been stabbed by Droudjack, he doesn't care at all. With a knife stuck in his waist, Ming announced to everyone that he was canceling the deal with Kaido. This is too puzzling. Many people subconsciously looked in the direction of Droudjack. After all, Mingo's words directly and completely offended the Beast's pirates represented by Jack the Drought. They thought that Droudjack would definitely be angry about this. He was even willing to go to war with Ming Jie, but the fourth time was beyond their expectations. Droudjack just stood there in a daze, still inserting his P*** into Ming Jie's waist. After a long while, he spoke as if half a beat late. Oh, I have no objection. Chapter 73 Brother Ming, young comrade, your ideological awareness is too low. Ming Jie and Droudjack. Of course, what I just said was not what I really meant. And all of these were spoken out by Su Chen using the sage art, mind stealing. Originally, Su Chen had not thought of this level. After all, Su Chen had tried before and wanted to borrow Jiao Sheng's body to perform divine avoidance. It turns out that any extraordinary power cannot be remotely exerted through mind stealing. But just now Su Chen suddenly remembered the airflow in his body and the movement of his throat muscles. This is not some extraordinary power, just keep it under control. It means that you can directly control others and say what you want them to say. Sage art obtained by signing into the system does not require any research. Su Chen's proficiency was directly maxed out, so it was just 2 or 3 simple attempts. Su Chen could already say what he wanted Ming Jie and Droudjack to say through their mouths. Young master, are we really not going to continue the trade with the Beast's pirates? Diamante asked Mingo in disbelief. You know, they're part of the Don Quixote family. One of the most important sources of income is trading with Kaido, the king of beasts in Wano country. Now if we really don't continue to trade with Kaido, then the Don Quixote family would be like cutting off their own arms. What on earth is going on with the young master? Didn't I tell myself this before? Don't we need to consider the Marine issue? He also said that Marine wouldn't dare to touch him, even if he ran to the Marine headquarters and stuck his neck out. Those people in Marine didn't dare to do anything to him. But now Su Chen really didn't touch a hair of the young master. But at least we can fight for our own interests, even a threat? Young master, we are willing to fight to the death. Why surrender without fighting? Brother Ming was about to collapse at this moment. How could he be willing to give up this huge piece of cake that he traded with Kaido? Damn Su Chen. But he had no choice at all. After all, the control of the body is not in your hands. Even now that the drought has hit Jack, it has stabbed him in the back. I don't have any solution at all. And looking at the current situation, it seems that Drought Jack is also controlled by Su Chen. This kid. Is the control ability so terrifying? Not only did he control himself with a bounty of 300 million, but he also controlled Drought Jack with a bounty of 1 billion. Brother Ming thought about it. Can I control several pirates with bounties exceeding 100 million at the same time? I'm afraid not. Just when Ming was thinking, his hands moved on their own. He also started to mumble, Jack, why did you attack me? After saying that, he stretched out his claws. Another claw strike towards Jack's kidney. I attacked you, what can you do? Drought Jack replied coldly. He stabbed Ming in the kidney again. The two sides exchanged blows. You take a knife, I take a knife. Neither side had any defensive measures. Blood was spurting everywhere. The scene was very harmonious for a while. The Don Quixote family, Momoshiki and Chadon, and even the people who got off the beast pirate ship later were present. They were all dumbfounded. But after all, Brother Ming and Jack the Drought are the leaders of both sides at the moment. When they did this, no one dared to step forward to stop them. Brother Ming, let me confirm with you once. You won't continue to trade with the beast's pirates, right? Su Chen spoke at this time. Ming Jie was stabbed in the kidney by Drought Jack again. But he didn't care at all, turned around and spoke to Su Chen very respectfully. Certainly, we, the 7 warlords of the sea, obey the orders of the world government. We will fight the evil forces to the end. We will obey all the arrangements of the world government. Su Chen nodded. Very good. In that case, I think it would be better to shut down your artificial devil fruit factory as well. Of course, we will unconditionally follow any instructions from you, General Su Chen. Brother Ming bowed and nodded respectfully, like a younger brother. But at this moment, there was still a knife stuck in his waist. It looks extremely strange. Brother, the smile factory cannot be closed. If it's closed, our ability to control the kingdom will be greatly reduced. Diamante quickly reminded Ming. Blood was oozing out of Ming's body. He turned around and criticized Diamante very harshly. Comrade Diamante, look at you. Isn't your ideological awareness low? As servants of the world government, we should obey all the commands of the world government. Sacrifice your own family for the sake of everyone. Today I serve everyone, so that tomorrow everyone can serve me. Ming Jie said this with great vigor, full of inexplicable energy and spirit. It doesn't sound like something that a person who had just had his arm chopped off and was seriously injured would say. Well said, you are worthy of being Brother Ming. The ideological awareness is high. Su Chen clapped his hands. Momoshiki and Chadon were both stunned by what they saw. Diamante heard what Mingo said. People are not in good condition. There was a hint of strangeness in his eyes when he looked at Brother Ming. Is this man really his elder brother? Why did he say these words that made him feel strange? Didn't I say that we are all members of the Don Quixote family? Support you to become one piece? Why do people call us comrades all the time nowadays? We all say that our ideological awareness is low. Comrade Diamante, what are you still standing there for? Hurry up and lead the way for General Su Chen. Do you want General Su Chen to find our smile factory himself? Ming saw Diamante standing there in a daze and urged him directly. Oh, General Su Chen, this way please. Diamante was torn between his conscience and his desires. But in the end, he chose to give up thinking like Jack the Drought. He followed Ming's instructions dumbly. He took Su Chen and his group directly. Arrived at the Dressrosa Palace and opened the secret passage leading to the Smile Factory. And just after Diamante took Su Chen away, both Drought Jack and Ming Jie felt dizzy at the same time. It was like being hit on the head with a club, it crashed immediately. This is the second use of the heart-stealing sage art. Deprivation of reason. Su Chen briefly deprived Ming Jie and Drought Jack of their sanity. It temporarily turned the two of them into creatures that only knew how to follow their instincts. In addition, the two were already covered in scars before they were deprived of their sanity. This time, he fainted directly. Jack the Drought's crew and members of Don Quixote's family saw this. Their faces all change. The two were taken away separately. Check their breathing. Fortunately, I'm not dead. Have a breath. In the world of One Piece, everything will be fine as long as you have a breath. You will definitely not die. After all, the old saying is true. As long as people are not dead, they will not die.